What's up? How you guys doing today? Some of you might be like, "Oh, evolution again. Isn't it cooked? Isn't it done?" It is, but it's not going to be stopped. Insofar as it being taught to children that they're meaningless masses downstream from fish, upstream from salmon. They're globular. Their life is meaningless. They're just here to pursue their own wants and desires. So get on it. Yes. It's a philosophy. It's much more than just refuting their claims about this transition, this Hindu silent but deadly fart in their philosophy. It's the entailments of evolution, to me, are ever present. So that's why you got to keep pushing against it. You just got to. We have to get to the point where our culture actually scoffs and laughs the way atheists laugh and roll their eyes at religious people. We have to get to a place where it's actually a joke, that you wouldn't even say it in public. You would have to keep that to yourself, that you believed in evolution. That would just be a beautiful reality. You know what I mean? Someone said I missed a super chat. Let me put it up here. Thank you for that. Sorry. Because of Zero Lessons complaining about me getting super chats, you guys gave a lot of super chats. I couldn't keep track. You hear that, Zero Lessons? I couldn't even keep track. You did that. Congratulations. Anyway, the question is, if the Orthodox Church was established by Christ, how could any schism from it not be heretical by excluding things from including things not in ortho? I really appreciate the super chat, but it's a bit. I want to know what you mean. So if you're here, yeah, there you are. Right. Please write it again, because it's very confusing. If the church was established, if it was established by Christ, how could any schism from it not be heretical by excluding things from things? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. It would be heretical. The schisms are over heresies, right? So I'm not sure if it sounds like that is the case. If Christ started a church, any schism would probably be reflective of some heresy or something. Okay? Yes, we should laugh. We should continue to laugh at it. And if you listen to what people say, I'm trying to figure out if Peterson, I think he just saw my recent debates, which I'm still working on a highlight reel because, man, there are some really funny, epic moments in all of them. So I'm going to do a whole all-star highlight reel against all of my opponents. It's going to take some time, but I think it's going to be worth it. The ultimate Evo-tard highlight reel. But we're going to look at Peterson anyway. We're going to see what he's got, because that's who I'm debating. If you want to push against evolution every day with us, Jim Bob, I'm here for it. So important to debunk. We always love your take on things. Thank you, Josiah. I really appreciate that. 10 buckaroos and your support. I mean, if Orthodox Church is established by Christ, how could anything else, Catholic, Protestant, not be heretical? It is. Are you Orthodox? Are you arguing from an Orthodox perspective? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It would be. I mean, the heresy actually is what generates the schism. They're inseparable. You can't separate the two. The core of which, the bedrock of all heresy would be sola scriptura, that ordinary people or people who are like, well, I want to start my own thing. I've got a Bible so I can do it. Then you end up with Unitarians. You end up with all of the crazy things we see today that we have to somehow I don't know. We have to work with them, not in an ecumenist way within the theology, but we work with them against horrific things like rainbow stuff but then you slowly filter down. You got to keep filtering out. It's an interesting phenomenon that when you start cutting the fat on things, the obvious fat everyone could agree with. But then you get a little bit closer and you're like, look at that little, what's that little striation? Should we get rid? That's not true. We got to get rid of that. And they're like, yeah, but I helped you fight against the rainbow people and the Muslims. And you're like, yeah, I know. I appreciate that. But we have to keep distilling though, don't we? You can't just like stay, that's the whole thing with Ruslan, where it's like Jay is a big meanie pants and he's so confrontational and he actually argues for the rigidity and narrowness of truth and the truth of the Orthodox Church and its traditions. They're like, don't do that. Can't we just sit around and be fluffy with each other? Can't we just kind of do the not infighting, hang out? No, we can't. No, we can't. To debunk and also make them question everything they take for granted. Tons. They take so much for granted. We're going to see that in this clip. I just watched like 13 seconds of it. And I was like, all right, this will work today. Peterson, I mean, he really needs to dive into some philosophy. Philosophy gets a bad rap for probably a fair amount of good reasons, but you still need it. And so you can't just throw it out. If you throw it out, if you just like go, oh, you're doing philosophy stuff, it's like you end up holding to really bad positions and arguments. And we'll see that Peterson starts off pretty clear with a bad one. So, because if they don't have those things for granted, it's probably why they just hold the beliefs without questioning. Yeah, they just grant themselves a bunch of stuff. It's wild. And they get so frustrated because most people that I've seen in the last 10 years debating evolution, they sort of grant the premise of it, right? And then they try to like argue a different way evolution could work, as opposed to going, no, I don't. Why would I grant you any of these massive claims? It's because there's a social aspect. The phenomenon we saw during Carunca, where there's like a pressure where you're like, look, I'm not that crazy. I wouldn't deny the moon landing. Yeah, I think we evolved, but I think God did it. You're like, stop it. Don't do that. Modern science rejects entirely the philosophy of science. Yeah, so they aren't seeking truth, but reinforcing their own conclusion with observation. That's all that's happening. Every example they give, we'll see it. We'll see it. We're going to see it. I don't like punching right without some substantive reason. Yeah, well, that's a fair thing within politics, because politics, not that politics could ever be separated from philosophy and theology and ethics, because ultimately that's what you're going to be arguing. Like, if you keep arguing, you'll eventually get to why should I? Basically, why should I? But I understand that, where if you want to move the meter politically, you might not want to do these undercutting defeaters to people's entire systems if they are in like a coalition for more local things to happen. So I understand both perspectives. I happen to operate outside of that. I go right for the jugular. I don't like... It's because I'm not a political-minded person, really. So I'm not thinking of like a game plan of like, well, how do I organize with other people who I disagree with to get this thing done? I'm just like, look, I'm like one of those Da Vinci, the Da Vinci made like a whole book on really crazy weapons. I'm like one of those. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to drive here from point A to point B, and anyone who's subject to it, you're going to probably get it. So, apologies in advance. Tell you when I'm done. Don't forget the emergentism. Oh, yeah, emergentism. They often hold to when you ask them how it came to be. It emerged. It came into existence. Really? That's beautiful poetry. My favorite psalm and great to remember is 6:3. Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. Nice. 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 All right. Let's get this party started. It's going to be more relaxed, but who knows? Who knows what's going to show up in the chat? By the way, I just posted that little interaction with Metaphysics Mike on love, Unitarian love. If you want to give it a like later, give it a follow and a like. And God was just always there, poetry? No, that would be necessary, logically necessary. It's not poetry. The difference there, Goldfish Brain, is that evolution is a naturalistic claim. That means it's bound by the criterion of naturalism, cause and effect. So everything you think saying is happening, you actually have to argue within the naturalistic cause and effect. That means inside of temporality. That's the difference, Goldfish Brain. God's existence, if it was a metaphysical, logical necessity, it wouldn't be an argument from the naturalistic paradigm. That's the problem with you people. You don't think properly because you're not Christian. There's multiple variations of elements. Oh my gosh, dude, that was so funny. Thank you so much. Very generous. Thank you, Jeff.
That is a big super chat.
Yeah, it does come down to that. Me and Jeff had an interaction with this emo guy who's always arguing evolution. He always brings up the mustard plant. And we're like, can you give an example when a category of a thing over time becomes not the category? Like it literally shifts categories completely. And this is one of the killers against evolution because their categorical system is totally illusory. It's like there's only one category. It's just a giant biological, sort of monistic mass machine. All of the things that in their taxonomy systems, in their cladistics, is all just it's not objective. It's not actually the case. It's nominalism. And so you ask him these questions like, show me a reason to believe that one entire, a category of an animal, like the Pakicetus is a perfect example. Show me a reason to believe that the Pakicetus in 15 million years through random mutation and natural selection produces a whale. And they're like, yeah, but look at the mustard plant. You're like, yeah, that's still the category of a plant. Does it ever escape its category? No, things don't escape the category. Thank you. Thank you so much. Did you already review Dyer? No, that's something to good. That might be a good palate cleanser today. Thank you. God is an argument from the magic paradigm. No, it's not. According to your worldview, Goldfish Brain, arguments themselves would be magical. Can you materialize an argument anywhere? Any empirical evidence of an argument anywhere? I mean, you guys really... You know, the only good thing about you is that you remind me of the virtues of patience. That's it. I just got to keep reminding myself. Don't start a crusade. Don't look at Facebook Marketplace for a set of train cars, Jim Bob. Don't do that. Patience, forgiveness, understanding. I meant in the context of a mind, they reduce it to whatever physical chemical states of affairs in your brain, or they say the brain does X. Where did that? Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, the bones. It emerged. Chemicals became philosophers. You actually have to say chemicals are philosophers. Think about that. Chemicals are philosophers. Okay, whack job. Oh, I'm the crazy one for believing in God and having a justification for unity and multiplicity, having some notion of what would ground the conceptual part of our reality that's immaterial, invisible. I'm the whack job, but you think chemicals are philosophers? Which chemicals? Which chemicals? Where is that? Where is that? All right. Part of the tradition here when we review Peterson is to include his Harvey Milk inspired musical intro. This one's called New Fossils Silence Evolution Deniers Forever. I mean, man, the gall. They love using plants as examples. They're able to cross-pollinate and make hybrids, but never cross totally different types of plants. Yeah, it never becomes not a plant. And with everything, they start with populations. They start with things like seeds. I'm sorry, what's a seed? What's the ontological category of a seed inside that paradigm? If the seed is necessary for the plant and the plant produces the seed, chicken or the egg all over again, and it's like, oh, no, you need to grant us populations of plants first, and then we could do hybrids. Okay. You ever think about that? They talk about plants, and then to talk about plants, you need already the process and the population and the system that produces new plants. And watch, that question I just asked, watch how Peterson, watch what he grants himself. I won't even tell you. I'll let you guys do some work here. Watch.
Familiar with the phrase that Rome was not built in a day. But suppose that I claimed Rome really was built in one day, and this is what I used as my evidence. All around Rome, when we look at all of the structures, we don't find any structures in Rome that are partially built. Now yes, some of the old ones are falling apart, but we don't see any structures in Rome gradually being built. Therefore, it was built in a day. This is incredibly stupid because you can't see Rome being built in the archaeological record. The Colosseum can't simultaneously be just its first cornerstone, 5% built, 50% built, and 100% complete. The reasons that argument is so stupid are very similar to one of my absolute least favorite arguments that's constantly presented by evolution deniers, which is that when we look in the fossil record, we only see fully formed organisms and they suddenly appear. What is a...
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I don't know where he's getting these arguments. Maybe he picks arguments that are just kind of like not really aggressive against evolution and its claims. But he's about to say something that's really broken. Yesterday I was trying to explain, hold on, sorry, I missed a couple of chats here. Why can you take domesticated dogs and breed them? Why can't you breed them back into a wolf? Well, they just argue like you could never go back in time. Like an elephant can never be a rat because the rat is still at the tail end of some other process. So you don't ever go backwards. One question would be, can you predict what one class of an animal will become in the future? They'll be like, well, you need like 10 billion, 4,000 million years, so we can't really do that. But it's like, yeah, but that's kind of what would be required for you to make your claim. And they're like, yeah, but we can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And because you can't do that, you can't really make the claim. You're doing imaginary crafting here. Tengu, just curious, but were you raised Orthodox? No, far from it. Did you convert from atheism or just another religion? I was raised like pseudo-home Pentecostally, speaking in tongues and ushering in people with Tourette's syndrome and pushing them over in front of a bunch of people. that kind of stuff. And so I had abandoned that in my 20s and maybe up to early 30s. And I was having children and meeting Meg Bob. And Meg Bob, thank God, held pretty strong to her Protestant roots, which was enough. You know what I mean? It was enough for me to go, wait a second. I have to teach. Am I going to teach my kid? Do I really believe that I evolved from pond scum and there's no meaning in the universe and my life has no purpose and there's no such thing as morality? Is that really what I believe? No. The best way to figure out if you really believe what you think you believe is to have a child and look that child in the eyes and go, okay, well, do I believe this enough to teach it? Similarly to, coincidentally, my Protestant friends here, is your conception of the gospel, are you confident enough in it to start your own church and call yourself the bishop? Well, are you? Yesterday, I was trying to explain to my dad that you can only claim objective morality if you're grounded in some kind of unchanging divine authority. He thinks consensus can replace that authority. Well, I mean, you can grant him that, you don't concede to that, but just grant him that and take him through what that would mean. If consensus is the authority, then what he's really saying is force is the authority, because consensus would mean nothing unless you enforced it when it comes down to it. Like, you just agree on stuff. Okay, I agree. You know, there's a bunch of people in our current government, Dad, that agree that mutilating and aggressing children, even babies, in their secret rooms under the Getty is totally fine. You know what I'm saying? It's totes fine. Totes fine.
It's a half-formed organism. There's no such thing as a half-formed organism. As far as transitional forms and missing links,
a half-formed organism. See what I'm saying? There's only a fully formed organism. Hey, Peterson, there's no such thing as a fully formed organism either. And by the way, there's no such thing under evolution as a fully formed organ. There's no such thing as fully. That would assume proper. That would assume that the process of something growing, you go, yes, it fulfilled its, thank you. It fulfilled its developmental instruction manual, which DNA and all of the instruction packets that are in our body, that's what they do. All the markers, that's what they do. And so he says, oh, there's no such thing as a developed organism. Yeah, there's no such thing as an underdeveloped organism or a developed organism or a fully developed anything. You can't even say it. I was arguing the dog thing with someone the other day. Isn't all DNA of a wolf just latent in a chihuahua? So it'd be, well, the thing is DNA, this is another problem that'll probably come up in the debate that I'll brush up on, is for things like paternity tests, you're matching DNA in a type of way, and you're matching something you have access to, the father, or the one you think is the father. That's why Maury Povich can do his show, right? But when it comes to other DNA that's similar in different animals, you're now talking about function, similarity in the function, that certain DNA in unrelated organisms that are not phenotypically similar at all, that they're pointing to most of the time, like the banana. People say, oh, 50% of the banana shares our DNA. No, that's a false way of saying it. What they're failing to say, and they should say, is the DNA in the banana that they're looking at that is similar to the DNA in the human both code for the same type of thing. That's a functional similarity. That doesn't tell us anything about origin at all. And that's usually what happens. They always conflate the two. And then they go, oh, so you deny paternity tests? No.
We have hundreds, if not thousands of them. Now, it's also true that nowhere close to even 1/100th of 1% of all the organisms that have ever lived even become fossilized, let alone have been discovered. This is absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Now, the other thing about that is we literally do have evidence. We have tons of evidence of transitional forms. So if we can demonstrate it.
No. See what I'm saying? You see how quickly they start doing poetry? We have tons of transitional forms. What? Listen to what he said.
Evidence of transitional.
We have tons of evidence for transitional forms. What is that? You see how they insert an event onto an object. You can't find an object and then categorize the object as an event. Transition is an event. That's an event. And this is how they use language to trick people, and honestly, it works on our kids, on the people going to high school and stuff. They're like, yeah, no, a transitional form. What do you mean? You have evidence of a transitional form. So you find a fossil, right? You look at the bones.
Based on the bones, as you can see by the bones.
You look at the bones and you go, that's a transitional form. What do you mean? The thing you're arguing for, you're trying to defend, Peterson, the thing you're trying to defend this Saturday against me is the event itself, transition. That things, one thing, Apacasitas, transitions over time, successive generations, produce a whale. That's what you're trying to say. And then you find one thing and it shares some phenotypical similarity with something else, and you go, look, it's a transitional form. No, it's an object. It's an object. You're telling a story about the object that's not found in the object. If they say you can't devolve back into a wolf because they can't go back in time, it assumes that therefore it has a direction and therefore it's not random. That's true. Yeah, that's true. It can only go in one direction. Yeah, it assumes a direction. Maury could find the genetic father of a clone grown in a vat.
Forms. So if we can demonstrate, it literally only takes one. If we can demonstrate one transitional form, then we have no good reason to doubt that, oh, well, yeah, this one thing has a transitional form, but nothing else does.
See what I'm saying? The burden of the evolution proponent is to explain how things change. Like how one thing becomes another thing over this many years. They think finding a fossil and their task is just reasserting it. Hey, look at the bones. Transition happened. I'm sorry, you can't just skip there.
And the sheer fact that everything in the fossil record is a species that doesn't exist today. But where do species come from? Through reproduction.
I just get so mad. I just get so mad. I just get so mad.
Did you guys catch that? Chat? Class? Did you catch that? Hey guys, where do species come from, you guys? That's an origin question. Apparently, Peterson asked an age-old question that's never been answered from the purely naturalistic paradigm. Where's his reward?
Reproduction. Ergo.
First of all, listen to the structure of the argument.
Is a species that doesn't exist today. But where do species come from? Through reproduction.
Peterson, where do species come from? Through reproduction. What do you need for reproduction? Species. Do you not think when you speak? But listen, it's even worse. listen to the argument. Species come from reproduction.
Ergo, the species in the past were different than the species of today, but they are our ancestors. Evolution confirmed.
That's a non sequitur. They're not even, you couldn't even build a bridge between the two premises. I'm trying to write it in just premise form. It's a syllogism of a sort.
Evolution confirmed.
Therefore, evolution confirmed. Wait a second. Let me try to write this out for you guys. Premise 1. Someone help me. I mean, it's so mangled. I need help. Premise 1. Species come from reproduction. Premise 2. Things. He's talking about actual individuals. Let's make it more simple. We are not identical to our parents, essentially, he's saying. Ergo, he actually used the word ergo. Ergo, evolution confirmed. Okay. There we go. I think I got it, you guys. I think that's pretty much it right there. I just want to steel man him. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to be a nasty gibbon here.
Species in the past were different than the species of
okay.
From through reproduction. Ergo, the species in the past were different than the species of today, but they are our ancestors. Evolution confirmed.
Wow, dude. Okay, so species come from reproduction, which requires species. We're not identical to our parents. We're a little bit different than our parents. Therefore, evolution confirmed. Sorry, Peterson. That's not a valid argument.
Now, the whole thing about, all the organisms suddenly appear. No, they don't. They gradually appear over huge spans of time. For example,
how does something gradually appear? What is it that, how does it exist such that there can be a gradualism at all? Nevo Tard once told me, in 100 million years, humans could evolve into plants. Yeah, I mean, at least they're consistent.
Time. For example, there are no dinosaurs here over huge spans of time. Suddenly appear. No, they don't. They gradually appear over huge spans of time. For example, there are no dinosaurs in the Cambrian time. There are no modern-day mammals in the Cenozoic. The fact that life takes on different forms.
Unbelievable. Just saw a modern-day debate thumbnail for your debate. The workouts are working. Yeah, I know. I have to go back today, too. I'm going to get ripped. Rich and rare. Okay.
And certain species appear, even if they do suddenly appear in the fossil record, the fact that that occurs across different spans of time is direct evidence of gradual change over time. Now, evolution deniers, for some reason, like to acknowledge that 500 million years ago, which they don't believe in that amount of time, but whatever. For some reason, they like to acknowledge that, 500 million years ago during the Cambrian explosion, all of the different animal phyla suddenly appear.
The theory predicts slow changes, but the fossil record shows rapid changes. The theory predicts that new forms accumulate by addition of little small steps, but the fossil record shows they appear out of nothing suddenly.
Let's start with the most famous sudden appearance of life forms in geologic history, the Cambrian explosion. Geologist Casey Luskin explains.
Nearly all of the major living animal phyla appear abruptly in the Cambrian period in a geological eye blink, a 5 to 10 million year window.
The Cambrian spans, it's debated whether it's a period of about 15 million years or as many as 40 million years. But even at the lowest end, that's not sudden at all. And what they often do is they lie and say that everything in the Cambrian has no precursors.
In the Cambrian explosion, we see many diverse body plans appear without any direct evolutionary precursors. In fact, one invertebrate zoology textbook says that the animal phyla appear fully formed, such that the fossil record is of no help to understanding how these species and
Well, look, the more people observe local species and their ability to adapt locally in short periods of time, we're learning that adaptation itself can happen quickly, but it doesn't. Adaptation within an organism or a group of organisms, even given some changes inside of that category of organisms, it doesn't actually give you what you need for evolution. It actually shows that quick changes could happen within animals, which means they're already pre-coded to react. That's a killer. Because under their view, all of the traits and capabilities evolve from random mutation. But, all of the examples they use more locally in time, the lizards, the transportation of these lizards to this other island, and the ability to adapt their digestive system to the food that they do have access to, that means you couldn't argue that happened randomly. Otherwise, you're going to have to actually isolate some trigger that incidentally for that lizard, gave it the capacity to luckily, by luck, it just so happened to be the case that a random mutation produced the beginning of a domino effect that reorganized its internals in a way suited for the direct environment. No, it's much more reasonable and more consistent with what we know of genetics that capability to adapt was already in the system. The instruction manual was already built in. Otherwise, you have to your likelihood, all of your probability arguments, it gets worse for the evolution proponent when they say, oh no, we moved a lizard from here to here, and lo and behold, it was able to transform itself in some way. It didn't not become a lizard. Some way internally, it was adaptive to the direct environment in a meaningful way, supportive of its existence. But they have to say it incidentally happened from their model.
these diverse body plans arose.
That's not true. We've known about the Ediacaran for a very long time. PBS Eons has a couple of really great videos about the Ediacaran period that you should check out. We do indeed find forms of animals in the Ediacaran that are the early predecessors for organisms in the Cambrian. Now, the Ediacaran biota is very different. For example, a lot of the organisms have fractal symmetry. No animals today have fractal symmetry. We even find animals that have trilateral symmetry. No animals today have trilateral symmetry. Now, there have been a few things that are present in the Cambrian that we have.
See what I'm saying? The entire, at least from Peterson's point of argumentation, the entire thing is a series of making comparisons between animals. That's pretty much all they do. That's all they do.
Based on the bones, as you can see by the bones, or the bones. Based on the bones. Yeah. Based on the bones.
That's why they hate debaters like me who go, oh, hold on a second. Similarity is your observation. If we're properly doing science, Peterson, which in my debate against you about whether or not evolution is a scientific theory, another way of asking that is it doesn't make its way through the scientific method. It doesn't. But the way you would take it through the scientific method, if you weren't a pseudoscientist, you would actually look at an observation, in this case, similarity between organisms, fossil and current, and you'd say, similar anatomy, similar function features, interesting. And then what you'd have to do is ask, what am I saying is happening here? They don't even say cause. They don't even actually get into it. They just make the assumption that if two things are similar anatomically speaking, then they must necessarily come from another thing that's their ancestor. That's it. But the problem with that, as I've told you guys many times, is the problem with that is that only works in their narrative for small amounts of recent time. The further you go back in time, the more dissimilar things are anatomically. And your argument, all of evolution, rests on this idea that we, human beings, actually came from, all the way back, something entirely anatomically dissimilar. Completely. So that if we found a fossil of it, how would you know if we came from that thing? Because all of your fossils, all your transitional fossils are based on similarity in anatomy. And yet your entire paradigm rests mostly on the assumption that we, the way we are today, the way we look, actually we're the product of something many years ago. Under gradualism, we were completely dissimilar. And so this is a methodology problem that he's not going to be able to escape when I cross-examine him this Saturday. You're missing a crucial step, drawing science arrows from a picture. Right, that's the second, third, and fourth step of the scientific method.
Not found good predecessors for, and that would be bilateral symmetry and true animals. Now, this is Dickinsonia, and it's an ediacaran organism, and we're not sure if it's an animal or a stem animal. Dickinsonia looks like it has bilateral symmetry, but scientists can't really agree because the way it appears to grow, if you look, the left and the right sides aren't actually mirrored. So it appears that it grows one little section on the left, then one little section on the right. And there's no indication that Dickinsonia had an actual mouth with a gut and an anus. And to be a true animal, you have to have those things.
To be a true animal, to be called an animal, you need those things. Okay. So if that's the case, he has to now argue that a true animal that has all of those components, including the over-enunciated anus, that has to come from something not. So here, it's even a deeper problem here. He just doesn't understand the entailment of what he's saying. If he's making a jump between an animal or something that's alive but not an animal, essentially, and what constitutes an animal properly, which it has these components, he has to argue that that animal that has these components actually comes from something that it's not. That is to say, the components, this is their biggest flaw in evolution. Their components, the what did he name them? The anus, the something. They have to be produced by the process that they're arguing for.
Animal, you have to have those things. Well,
okay,
mouth with Dickinsonia had an actual mouth with a gut and an anus. And to be
okay, so it's not an animal, but yet under the evolutionary paradigm, there has to be pre-existing populations that he's going to say aren't animals that then produce a gut, a mouth, and an anus. Now watch. This is such a killer for these people. How does he know that the universal mouth, gut, anus is it something that's static that you can point to and it's not changing? Further, you have to declare when it becomes that. So just like species, when does it become an elephant? At what point in time do you declare, we have an elephant? The doctor lifts up the elephant. It's an elephant. And it came from not an elephant. Same problem applies to these components inside of us. At what point in a process do you declare something has a mouth or an anus? Or a gut? This is such a defeater to their whole entire process. Their whole philosophy is broken and nominal because they're declaring things are fully formed. A gut, is that a proper, like, how did you determine something's a gut properly if it's always something that's changing and comes from some process that was ever changing too? It's just accidentally a gut for a while until it's not. You see the problem here, you guys? All of the things that he appeals to have to come from a process, which means there's a necessary time and place where these things don't exist yet. They have to be produced. Thank you for your support. 2 more, y'all. 3 minutes.
Be a true animal, you have to have those things. Well, some recent very bad news for the evolution deniers came out. We now have even more transitional forms.
Transitional forms. How do you... If you found a horseshoe crab, but you didn't have access to a ton of horseshoe crabs today. It just so happened something happened and they all died. But if they didn't die, we know it's hypothetically possible that they didn't change at all. No change. Zero change over how many of their billions of years, right? If you found that fossil and it looked like something else, how could you possibly know to call it a transitional form if under the knowledge that we have now, hypothetically, that thing could hypothetically be extinct because of some thing happened. But we also know simultaneously that we can point to certain organisms that don't go through any transition. But if that horseshoe crab fossil looked like something today, but not quite, how would you know to call it a transitional fossil if we know certain things can just maintain exactly their function and their shape and their biology for how many years, according to your model? They don't have this. They don't have the methodology. Their epistemology is so broken. All they do is look at pictures like Rorschach tests. That's what he's doing right now. A transitional fossil. Transitional to what? From what? Pickles gradually appear. Transition from cucumber to pickle disproves the law of identity. My son says the nature of a pickle is still a cucumber. It's funny. Have you ever considered studying biology at a university level? That way, their trump card. Well, I've taken like just on my computer, like reading through those like online courses, and when it comes down to it, even if I packed a punch with a bunch of knowledge at the molecular level, such that I could recite things or know terms, it doesn't get you anywhere because the question isn't whether or not we can understand current biology. The question is the assumptions about events are true. That's evolution. The assumption of the events in the past. How do you know they happened? Explain how these things happened. Well, they did happen. I was going to feed my starving family, but my jort tax is priority. Thank you so much. Your family understands. It's a story built on extrapolation, built on a story built on... Yeah, it's just endless fractal extrapolating. That's right. That's right. It's absolutely the case. Peterson, is this the thing you're going to bring to the debate?
For the Ediacaran period that come before the Cambrian explosion. A quote I love to use with them, and I didn't invent this quote. I got it from John Green. And the quote is, "We don't live at the end of history. We live in the middle of history."
There goes the definition of a heart. I mean, just, Peterson, what are you doing? Do you even know what you're doing? Yeah, we don't live at the end of history. Let's use that analogy for evolution. Do hearts properly form and properly function or not? How do you know a heart is properly formed? How do you know any of the things inside your body? Are they at the tail end of history or the middle? Are they in the middle of history? What are they? Could they be moving ever so slowly away from what they are?
So when they say there are no precursors to the Cambrian, you just have to ask them, are you claiming that we have all of the evidence?
I debated him already. Yeah. That one is evolution proper scientific theory, which was a great debate. I highly recommend watching it. But this one is just evolution under fire. And apparently he watched my debate with Ron and the other guy. They did poorly. And Peterson knows it. The only reason Peterson wants another crack at it is because he saw these people I'm debating, and they're really not, he knows they're not doing a good job. You know, Dr. Greg, he did a terrible job. He didn't even know what I was about to attack him on. Ron, just some boomer called from Hawaii, had no idea. He literally, his entire argument was, I believe these other people who say the claim. And I go, how do you know that what they're saying is true? And he says, well, because they say it. That was his, I'm not even being hyperbolic. I hear the Evo-tards are bringing back the woolly mammoth as they did with the dire wolf. I hope so. The woolly mammoth would be fun to hunt. That would be really funny as a concept, where all of the romance about bringing animals back through some sort of DNA, soft tissue analysis and reproduction, cloning or whatever, that it's only used to hunt them. You're just like, oh, no, you can come to our, we have a conservation land where you could blast woolly mammoths with fire arrows. Roosh V was a microbiologist and said evolution is BS, so you don't need a degree. That's right. Stop taking all my money, Big Daddy Pod says. The least you could do is use it to buy a hat that doesn't look like it's been run over by a truck. Yeah, but this is one of my favorite hats because this hat came out during the Hubble Huggers era. Remember, there's a group of people they were activists for keeping the SS afloat. They were like, save the whales, except save our the waste of money that we have.
That there ever will be, and therefore, yes, we do know for certain now that all of the animals that existed during the Cambrian period were just suddenly began existing. The answer to that's obviously no. And luckily in China, and it seems like all of the exciting paleontological news comes out of China recently, but we have some true animals and we have bilateral symmetry.
We have true animals
that have a stem that anchors them to the floor.
I'm sorry, did they have to evolve the stem?
We're already commonly known for the Ediacaran, but some of these new ones have that feature, but they also clearly have the bilateral symmetry as well. Before that, these floor-anchored animals known from the Ediacaran had radial symmetry, or sorry, not radial, fractal symmetry. A few types of creatures were previously known from the Ediacaran, but the evolution of...
Okay, so just so you know, this video isn't really him getting into what evolution is and how he knows it's happening. He's more responding to people who are evolution deniers or evolution critics who look at things like the Cambrian explosion and fossils where they suddenly find new populated areas that otherwise, from their own model, couldn't be explained the same way. Long transitional processes, long form. So he's giving examples of, well, here's two things that are similar in some way and dissimilar in another way, and therefore they changed over time. But the thing is, Peterson doesn't realize the trend for studying evolution and trying to make it work. The trend, Peterson, is actually trying to make a model that is sped up. I don't know if you know this, but the defense of a long time, give us more time with enough time, people are moving away from that model because they need it to happen quicker. People are understanding the mathematical problem of time, so they need it to happen quicker. To make sense, what we know of just basic changes in regulatory genes and how long it would take for just two to change for a fly, in however many years, it still would be a fly. For humans, just two regulatory changes, it would still be a human in millions of years. Still be a human. But you have to hold that the Pakicetus, a land cow, stepped on some frogs and fish and turned into a whale in 15 million years. So do you understand that holding to and defending to long, deep time gradualism actually isn't the future trend of evolution? The future trend is turbo evolution. That's the future trend. This guy's behind. He doesn't even know his current dogma trends. Would be hysterical if you, Andrew, Rob, and whoever else started dressing just like Brian Shapiro on every stream. That guy's such a weirdo, dude. He was like in my DMs just like screaming at me, and I was just like, who are you, dude? He's like, MAGA. And I'm like, I'm not. Do you think I'm known for like MAGA? You absolute lunatic.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Complex animal life has long been associated with the Cambrian, a later period from 542 to 488 million years ago, when fauna diversity and complexity were booming. Because Cambrian fossils preserve so much animal diversity, scientists had long hypothesized that complex animal life didn't yet exist in the Ediacaran. However, fossils from China tell a different story. All these
would really be nice to have a tail and maybe even one claw hand or some wings. Well, yeah, like 4 arms would be amazing. Who is it? Who was the guy? Goro? Remember Goro? Excuse me. Hello? Goro. How did we, it would have really helped if we randomly increased the marker placement such that we had 6 hands, 6 arms. Hello? Evolution God. Seen lots of land whales walking down the street currently. Yeah, they might be onto something.
These fossils come from a pretty small site. That's kind of the case with the Cambrian too. We find Cambrian fossils all over the world, like trilobites, for example. But the Burgess Shale is incredibly important because it preserves a lot of soft-bodied creatures from the Cambrian. So those are relatively rare.
Are you anti-Semitic? I'm semi-anti-Semitic.
Rare. So, yeah, I mean, fossil sites, sometimes you just...
How come we don't have tails? Well, they would argue because there's a couple of babies who are born with like an overgrowth of tissue in the back, in the tail area. They would say like, well, no, it was just a gene that was turned off. If we could turn it on, we would all grow tails. It's like, do you know how useful a tail would be? Do you understand? Like we no longer needed them, so they went away. That's their argument. Humans, whatever was before a human, obviously had a tail because there's this rare condition that happens when someone's born, they develop a larger amount of tissue buildup that looks like a little nub. Okay. Why would we lose that? Please tell me, why would we lose that? Apparently there's a species of wolves evolving into sea wolves. Videos here on YouTube, we're getting whale evolution 2.0. Nice. Sea wolves. I don't think even Pee-Pee believes it. Well, I think he still does. I think he's grasping. Because he's looking around and he's realizing, well, who are the proponents? Where are these people? Why are all these anti-evolution people sort of winning optically? I don't know if he'd ever admit that. These people have a problem admitting what's going on. We have we admit, like the Christians admit when something optically doesn't go right. We're like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. Where are my shoulders? They're here. I'm just not there. I don't have a good posture. See, when I have good posture, shoulders here. Also, look how quickly this muscle comes from the butterflies. Look at that. Sick. Ripped, rich, and rare. Come on! Just because you used to be a sea turtle doesn't mean you don't need a six-pack.
Have to get lucky. They happen to be in exactly the right place, haven't been eroded away, aren't buried too deep, and we can accept.
I find it ironic that the same people who claim they don't trust the government trust regurgitated regurgitated shit. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the same people who are like all about like exposing conspiracies and Christianity's a Jewish psyop, man, and then they're like, we went to the moon in 1969. Okay.
Assess them. They found remains of Herpetogaster, which was previously only known in the Cambrian, and that creature looks like...
And if the tail is so rare, how do they not know that that itself isn't evolution? Yeah, how do you know we were behind? We're actually in the beginning, Reed. It might be the beginning of a beautiful thing.
Like that. Well, yeah, that's okay.
Might be a beautiful thing happening.
Definitely having fun with that depiction, I think. This might be the most significant one, though. The presence of a preserved, visible gut in the sausage-shaped worm was also quite a rare sight for Ediacaran.
You're a sausage-shaped worm.
Fossils. This creature has a mouth at the end. These other...
Yeah, you can tell it's a mouth because it was smushed and there, you know. Wow, what a summary. What, dude? Everything you're saying, Peterson, I hope you're in the chat. You should say hi sometime. Everything you're saying, you actually, under the evolutionary view, just pointing to it isn't actually a defensive evolution. A defensive evolution is you actually have to explain through the mechanisms of evolution how something develops a mouth. How would you know if you took that sausage-shaped worm and you somehow found a photo of it or a photo of the fossil, but it was a million years before and there was a little speck? How would you know that was the beginning of a mouth or not? It's just unbelievable. A mouth has a function. And there's a mereological, there's a relational thing that's necessary for a mouth to be meaningful as a function. A gut. It has to be, all of these components are not in a vacuum. They're all interrelational. And so when you say, oh no, it has a mouth, and you go, well, did it have to develop this? And yeah, well, so now you have an arbitrary point in which the mouth is complete in the long process. And they never want to deal with this. They never want to deal with this granular defense. And that's where you get them, guys. If you ever want to just toy with an evolution proponent, he's your buddy, you're at a bar. He's like, I got evolved, man, I evolved. Just get granular and you'll see how quickly they fall apart. If you lose something because it's no longer of use, how did something new grow without being of immediate use? That's another great question, Delano. Absolutely. That's the Nubby argument. Or it's like, or a stomach, or this, or that. Well, a vestibular system. Have you guys even seen a vestibular system, and how it works? Maybe I'll find a video on that. And like, we'll watch a video on the vestibular system, and we'll all watch it through the perspective of our opposition. We'll watch it through the perspective of this was produced incidentally. And you'll just be like, what? Talk about magic. Where's goldfish brain? Talk about a magic worldview.
Ediacaran creatures, we can't find an actual mouth on any of them that I've ever heard of. Perhaps the most intriguing fossils are the ones that potentially represent deuterosomes, the animal group that includes vertebrates as well as starfish and sea urchins. Previously, the earliest known deuterosome fossils dated to the Cambrian, so this pushes their emergence back to the Ediacaran. Are they just going to start saying now, oh yeah, but all the animals suddenly appeared during the Ediacaran with no predecessors? If they do end up doing that, then that's an admission and a goalpost shift. It's an admission that we have transitions, therefore evolution is proven. The goalpost shift just goes to, yeah, but you don't know what the very first one was. And it's like, okay.
How does a stomach develop to digest leaves and meat? Well, it just happens incidentally. In fact, metabolism itself, both catabolic and anabolic metabolism, building and breaking down, a stomach digestive would be the breaking down aspect of metabolism. And that system, from Peterson's view, must necessarily be the product itself of evolution. But you need metabolism. You need all this stuff for evolution. You need all the things. All of the things you need in evolution, all the components that you need to then talk about evolution have to be the product of evolution. Yeah, they do. Yeah. They love it. They love the groupings that are meaningless under their system.
Nowhere in the world does the very first copy ever of any of the Gospels still exist. Therefore, we don't know what the Gospels ever actually said. Therefore, we'll just claim that every single thing in it was just made up. There. The news just keeps getting better and better. This is all very early on. There were over 700 individual specimens found. I wouldn't say at this point that we've,
Obviously, this stream wouldn't be really focused toward people like me. I'm a very specific type of breed of anti-evolution. I'm an evolution denier for sure. But the ones he's actually going against are these ones who kind of play in the they accept timeline assumptions. I don't do that. So they're like, oh, here's the timeline. Look at this explosion. It doesn't make sense. And then Peterson's going, oh, for you Evo deniers who are focused on the Cambrian explosion and saying things come out of nowhere, well, I'm going to push back on that. Well, that doesn't really apply to me because my attack against evolution, as you've all seen in my many debates, is it's none of this stuff. I don't care what you found. I really don't care what you found or what you think it looks like. You're defending a mechanistic event happening. That's what you're defending. You're not defending a story, an interpretation of symbols you found in the form of fossils. You got to tell me how stuff occurs, bro.
That this article or any journal has an exhaustive description of everything in there. So yeah, maybe some new stuff will come out in the next coming years. Unfortunately, paleontological studies are that slow. But this alone completely removes one of their favorite talking points. It's over. Thank you for watching, and you'll see me tomorrow. Get it.
Guys, it's over. Okay? It's over. All right. Let's look at the vestibular system here. Just so you guys, here, this is a 2-minute, right? Let me see, this one's 4 minutes. Let's do this one. Okay. So again, my invitation to you is to put on the evolutionary hat, pretend you're arguing for evolution, pretend that all of the things we have, our brains, our stomachs, our hearts, our livers, our bones, and everything else in between, and it's all interconnected in a meaningful, workable system way. Pretend all of it's incidental. That is to say, there's random mutations that then produce like a cascade of changes that then accidentally produce a state of affairs that happens to be compatible with the environment and to your body, aka an advantage. Pretend it's all incidental. Oh, just accidentally. Accidental awesomeness. Pretend that. Now watch. Now watch this from that angle. Just burn it into your brain. All of it's incidental.
The vestibular system is responsible for the body's equilibrium. It maintains balance and provides awareness of the body's spatial orientation. Vestibular sensory organs detect changes in the head's positions and movements and transmit this information to various regions of the brain. Projections to the brainstem trigger reflex pathways that lead to compensatory actions to maintain stability or reestablish equilibrium, while projections to the cortex provide perception of gravity and movement. Examples of vestibular
Okay. I'll try to do this in chunks because I do interrupt a little too much. Just that. Just summarizing what it is. Necessary for balance, orientation. Do you need that to survive or not? Do you need balance and orientation and spatial awareness to survive? Could you survive millions of years just like... Okay, so there has to be a time where you don't have this, which you have to do just fine without it. Not only that, look at what he just said, right? Forget we're going to get into the micro of how this operates. It just gets crazier and crazier. You have the eye, you have the brain, you have a superhighway from the vestibular system to the brain. Meaningful exchange of information, by the way. Meaningful interpretation of data, meaningful application of that data to the body. Perception. Think about that. Perception. Imagine like saying perception itself is incidental and accidental. Perception. The thing you need to actually trust and put faith in the workability of, the efficiency of, to even make sense of the external world to begin with.
Reflex pathways include the vestibulo-ocular reflex that controls eye muscles to keep visual objects in focus while the head is moving. It does so by moving the eyes in the opposite direction as the head.
Yeah, totally.
And the vestibulo-spinal reflex that senses a potential loss of balance and activates body muscles to keep the body from falling. The sense...
That's just what it does. The actual internal system and how it works as far as the fluid, it's crazy.
The part of the vestibular system is located in the inner ear on each side of the body. It consists of 3 semicircular canals that sense rotational movements, such as when the head is turning, and 2 otolithic organs that sense head positions, as well as straight-line motions, such as when riding in a car or elevator.
Dude, look at that. It has XYZ axis. XYZ axis. And you know what? See these tubes? The semicircular canal ducts? Those are filled with fluid. And the particular ingredients of this fluid, the way it's mixed in the ratio of its mixture, allows it to be essentially it's like electroconductive. So it's like, so the sensory is actually a type of electric. It won't let you super chat. Try bobchats.com. By the way, that helps me a lot more if you guys bob chat. You know, YouTube takes 30%. It's fun to meet goals, but YouTube takes all of our money for us and all the fun we do.
The 3 semicircular canals, or ducts, are oriented approximately at a right angle to each other, each corresponding roughly to one of the 3 planes of motion, turning left and right, nodding up and down.
Look at that, man. That's crazy. That's like when I rig an animation, right? Or I work in Blender. Like the orientation, the Cartesian orientation, it's like it's right there in front of you. Like this is how people design things. Like nature beat us to our own heuristic for designing things and engineering things.
And tilting to a side.
An XYZ axis, just incidentally.
They contain a fluid called endolymph. Each canal has an enlargement at one end called an ampulla. Within the ampulla, there are hair cells embedded in a gel-like structure named cupula. When the head turns, the ducts that are located on the same plane of motion rotate, but the fluid lags behind because of inertia. This causes the fluid to briefly move in the opposite direction as the head. And
think about that. Forget the actual structures that, from their view, have to incidentally develop, accidentally producing function, accidentally connecting to the brain, accidentally doing the thing of coordinating balance. Forget that. Forget the function for a second, or the placement, of these things. But now you go further into it, and there's a specific way in which this stuff has to work in conjunction with, you know, the effect of gravity.
Either push or pull on the cupula, bending the cilia on the hair cells and thus activating them to send nerve impulses to the brain. The direction of the bend determines if the signals generated are excitatory or inhibitory. Because the 2 sides of the head are mirror images, a head turn generates excitatory signals on one side and inhibitory signals on the other.
So, you got to be joking at this point. Do you guys are you guys grasping what this system is? It's got a symmetrical system, but their components work together, but they're distinct. And they're on each side of the head for a reason, and each of them, right, have a specific task.
The two otolithic organs are two patches of hair.
On Rumble, yeah, I don't know. They won't show up on my stream, though. So if you use bobchats.com, they'll show right up and they'll be read by an Indian woman. So, I mean, how could you... Thank you, Rachel, who has a functioning vestibular system capable of buying 5 memberships for people. Thank you so much, Rachel.
All of the accidental function has to happen twice to reproduce. Otherwise, the new species that evolved will die off and it would be for nothing.
Good thing it hasn't randomly changed to something that doesn't work. Yeah, or randomly just, like, not maintained what it is, like, at all. Like, it's like, and by the way, all of these structures, do they come into existence before they function? Is there a point at which this part, right, with this gyroscope right here, natural gyroscope, is there a point at which it needs to then grow the communication stem to the brain to make sense? Or does it do its development in-house and then it knocks on the door and says, we're ready, connect us. Connect it up, we're ready, guys.
Hair cells.
I'm ready for balance. Oh my gosh.
Oriented nearly perpendicular to each other, the saccule being vertical and the utricle being horizontal. The cilia of these cells are embedded in a gel-like layer sprinkled with calcium carbonate crystals called otoconia, commonly known as ear rocks. The crystals add weight to the layer, pulling it down with gravity.
There's crystals that have a purpose in pulling... There's crystals that we have gyroscopes with electrical fluid inside of XYZ axes with crystals. This is like technology. This is actual technology. They're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's just super accidental, advanced, what seems to be ostensibly engineering for purpose. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm reasonable.
When the head is in upright position, the gelatinous layer bears down evenly on the cells of the utricle. The cilia remain straight and no signals are generated. On the vertical saccule, however, the heavy gel is pulled down by gravity at one end, bending the cilia, generating nerve impulses.
Yeah, generating medium. Generating the medium, which isn't even identical to the perception of the medium. So you have to have all of those things working. And this, we're supposed to believe, occurred is a product, a byproduct. This high-level engineering with crystals and gyroscopes and hyper-specific fluid, like fluid inside of those limbics or whatever they're called, that have to be a certain ratio for them to conduct. It's accidental.
The reverse is true when the head is horizontal. Other head positions are determined by a combination of signals coming from both organs. Vestibular sensory organs detect not the motion itself, but changes in the rate of motion, specifically acceleration or deceleration. For example, when a person is sitting in a car that starts to move, the heavy gel-like layer of the...
Oh, and you notice when they need an analogy, it's always a created, engineered thing.
What would you say if I told you I was mentally
Seriously.
retarded?
Say shame. I would say shame. I would say, actually, let's get into it.
What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded? What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded? Shame. What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded? What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded? What would you say if I told you? Shame.
have accidentally and randomly said this? Please redeem.
What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded?
Shame.
What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded?
Shame.
Sorry, I missed that, Vagine. Can someone write that again, please? Wait, wouldn't the parts of the brain also have to be separately evolve alongside? Yeah. Yeah, that when you ask them this stuff, it all just comes out and it emerges. It emerges. It's emergent. Emergent.
The utricle lags behind at first, bending the cilia back, activating the hair cells. The more sudden the car starts, the greater the stimulation. Once the car is in stable motion, the gel catches up with the rest of the tissue and no activation results. Similar events occur in the saccule during an elevator ride, up or down.
All right. They didn't even get into what's inside the actual tubes, but you guys can look at that. But that's just one system I like to look at. I used to just look at like the liver in general, but I realized the liver is actually fairly simple in comparison to hearing and balance systems. The first gyroscope is accidentally built by nature from random mutation. Random. What kind of brain do you need to have to say that the gyroscope, who was the dude? Dean something? He like died on his own Segway or something. That weird guy. I don't think he invented the gyroscope, but he applied it to the Segway, whatever. Imagine what kind of brain state you have to be in to say, no, gyroscope, super complex, genius. What did it take to develop that? Oh man, lots of R&D, crazy R&D. Accidental R&D? No, what are you talking about? Accidental R&D? That doesn't make sense. Oh, so it doesn't make sense to you that a highly specialized engineered function could be accidental? No, that wouldn't make sense. What about nature? Oh, no. In nature, it's fine. In nature, it's fine. A Jewish God created us. You don't have any arguments, zero lessons. Okay? We get it. You're sad, you're lonely. This is the only community that gives you any attention at all. You know, we get it. We get it. You get the attention you need here, right? And you know what to say to get the attention, okay? We get it. It's old. It gets old. Oh, look, he's going to say something, and then we're going to react to it, and then he gets his little endorphins tickled, right? Ooh, wow. It's more than a gyroscope, billion times more complex, absolutely. No, I do. I have a debate. Yeah, this weekend, Saturday. 0 lessons, 0 arguments. Philip, you correct these people, they don't know. They don't care. It's like we pretend that they care to be corrected, or they're trying to know something, or, and we're going to come in and be like, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because now I have the opportunity to show you actually what we believe. And what we actually believe is that they care at all. Hey, that's on us. I'm the fool. I'm the fool most of the time. All right. Okay. Following.
All right. It's time on the fallen state.
Do you cry over Mother Mary on Friday nights?
I don't cry over her, but we
I'm black and slow, so.
I'm BIPOC too. I identify as black. So that way I get away with a lot more.
That's why you were late. You believe in God. Why do you still have anger?
We're all in a fallen state. As long as we're in this life.
It's weird that his show's name is The Fallen State, but he actually doesn't believe that the effects of the fallen state exist. It's so weird. You're absolutely right that he made us. He made us. Through him, all things were made. Without him, nothing was made and has been made. We're proud of it. Absolutely. You're right. I tried. No, dude, I fall for it. More than any of you guys, probably. More than anybody. I'm like, wait, you said something and you care? Oh, let me talk to you about it. Nope.
If we're still going to be liable to sins, passions, and temptations.
Satan is a woman's god.
No, that's not.
Oh, that's just what is that? That's not the actual thing. Is it out? Peter. You believe in God. You believe. It's not even out yet, dude. What the heck, bro? Oh, man, I was all excited. It's not even up. It ain't even up, dog. Oh, man. Love you too, Matthew. The probability of originating from life originating from... sorry, man. I'm just a little out of it. The probability of life originating from accident is comparable to the probability of an unabridged dictionary resulting from an explosion in a print shop. That's true. Look, I even make it easier for them. I grant them life. I grant them even a population. I grant them it, and they still can't make sense of evolution. Got to forgive your mama. Yeah, we pretend that they care. And that's it's almost built into our deontic. So I'm not like, I get frustrated because I'm like, oh, look, hey guy, what are you saying there? Oh, that's interesting. Let me engage with that. It's like, they're like, they're just doing that. They're like zombies in the zombie game. Snagglebees, my apologies for the off-topic message, but I watched this morning Alex Soren had an investigation into that Guy of Ruslan's event. He seems legit. He says the publisher did that. Okay, well, fair enough. That's good. That's good. I was thinking about that yesterday where it's like, I was trying to think of someone who's a catechumen who I wouldn't be too worried to be on a major panel if it was okayed. Now, the question of, should it ever be okayed, that's really not up to me in the end. But I thought of someone, and it was Cleve. And I was like, okay, well, imagine it wasn't that guy, but it was Cleve. And I was like, Cleve's well-read enough. He's not even baptized yet. He knows way more about Orthodox church history, doctrine, and the Bible than me. So I'm like, okay, well, would I be okay with Cleve on if it was authorized? Yes, I would. So I kind of have to I just have to be like, okay, well, what do I know? Tucky has a new thing out? More ops? Tucky? Oh, Tucky. Hey, I wonder when is Rachel or Andrew gonna... Rachel already talked to Tucky when he had a Fox show, but was that a different scenario? I feel like Rachel should be going up to the weird Montana cabin soon, right? Andrew still hasn't engaged with Tucky. It's a little bit strange. I think you should both go. I think Tucky should sit down with Andrew and Rachel. Two subjects. One converted Ted Kaczynski cabin. They did it on purpose? Bastards. So when do scientists, generally speaking, try and disprove the theory of evolution versus looking for evidence of creation? I don't look for ancient sausages with no anus and say, look, that's us. Well, there's a bit of a false dichotomy there, which is, well, there's a couple of things. One, evolution's not properly a scientific theory. Two, even if you granted it in a general colloquial sense, we could look for evidence of creation, but we wouldn't be looking through the paradigm of natural causes. And so that becomes the problem. And this becomes the distinction between the tag argument or the tag, let's say, the paradigm that gives us the skip to the transcendental argument. The difference between that and classical foundationalism, which essentially just gives the opponent a bunch of, quote, self-evident truths, and we're going to reason our way through, and we're going to use science and empiricism, we're going to interpret that, and then come to some conclusion. That's why, ultimately, craftsmen, skipping all of that false dichotomy, creation versus evolution, not really. You just go right to tag at that point. Because otherwise you're just granting them an entire system that they can't justify. Why would we do that? I'm not doing that. I ain't doing that. Oh, hell no. Oh, no, hell no. Goal ended. Not third goal met? Guys. Whatever. You guys gonna cancel me? Fine. Deal with it. I messed up Metaphysics mic last night? No, you didn't. Did you call in? I'll review that right now, Marilyn. I'll put you right in the spotlight. You little heretic. You little heretical gibbon. Did you call in? That's going to be hilarious. That's gold. Hey, Mr. Westford. You see my Discord messages? Hold on a second. Hold on just a second. Where are they? Where is that? Where is that? Jim Bob, my down payment on my Jortlandian tax skint after buying my first car. Nice. Congrats. I'm new to your content. Love it. Christos Anesti. God bless. Thank you so much for that, Joe. Welcome. Marilyn called into Stein also, or Alex Soren also. Wow, Marilyn. Thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. Two heretics fighting sounds the best. Okay, Marilyn, can you give me an idea where? I think his stream was actually titled with me in it. You know, because all these people thought I didn't want to show the exchange. Yeah, he actually wrote it in his thumbnail. He was like, content removed. No, I didn't remove the content, Mike, because of some own. I removed it because the topic was evolution, and I wanted to keep my live stream topic oriented and short so people can watch the whole thing instead of watching 8 hours. So yeah, if you want to see my interaction with Mike that he says the content got removed, it's actually up this morning. So let's search. Okay, so Marilyn called into Soren and Metaphysics Mike. Let's see. You got to tell me where, though. I can't search 3.5 hours, Marilyn. At what exact stage in embryonic development does a structure become a liver instead of not a liver? Well, not a liver is anything not a liver. I mean, so what do you mean? The idea here, Nitty, is that for vertebrates with livers, the embryonic development already has in it the instructions and the markers for when and where to develop a liver. The question isn't when does it become a liver, right? That's like a human question. When does it become a human? It's at conception. All of it's one thing. So it's not nominal. You don't reduce it to a bunch of parts because that presupposes each part has its own ontology and function independent of the whole. That's the thing, Nitty. That's welcome to Christian metaphysics, where the view of from a Christian metaphysical view is that you have one and many things and they're unified and diverse. Unity and multiplicity. Now, Nitty, your own question from your point of view, that's why my question to you guys of when this stuff starts is internal to the nominal position that it is. So it sounds like you're trying to ask me back as if it's a gotcha, but it's not a gotcha under my system because I don't hold to nominalism. That the thing human being, the whatness of human being, is created and already has the liver and all of its functions in place, and all of its descendants pass on, those features. It's already coded to do it. So it develops into that. So, I mean, you could arbitrarily say when it's compatible and working with the other things in the body and doing its proper function, that it probably starts doing that immediately as soon as it's functioning. I don't know. Maybe there's a jump start period, but it's irrelevant to my view because I don't hold the evolutionary view. I don't need to create a time in which the liver becomes the liver, at the individual level, because from the evolutionary view, you're holding that accumulatively the population itself produces the liver. My view is that universals are created from the start, that God created man with all of these functions, and post-fall, the functions and their decay and all of their problems are activated, for the lack of a better word. But I appreciate the question. But it's just not the same problem that you guys have. JB, just to go for the jugular and ask Peterson how he would falsify evolution, we all know he's going to revert back to the fossils, which is arbitrary. Yeah. That's true. All right, let me see this.
Right, when the Bible says God is love, that means
clowns offer God's love through the joy promised by Jesus Christ.
Years ago, 4 or 5, actually. Wait.
Jay's Gassell, big 20. Thank you so much, sir. Jim Bob, I will have an extra copy of Savage Memes Volume 3 in about a week. Nice. I want to give it away for free to a fellow Jordan. That reminds me, Meg Bob, we still have I think we still have 6 books to give away. If you want to set up something, let me know. The only thing is they have to be a paid member. All right, cool. Thank you, Jason. Do you guys hear that? So Jason just added a Volume 3 into the mix for giveaways. Thank you so much, Jason.
It was back. All right. 1, enjoyed M10. The law doesn't want. We can get one to do. You can troll. See it if you follow me on X and stuff.
Adam would have been the priest of that temple.
Well,
God and man. So.
Oh man, separate divine nature.
Marilyn, where are you?
Then he has a contradiction. You're saying he has both the properties of being God and man. Yeah, that's kind of a fake human being. Yep.
What? That's your position, dude. He said in my talk that Christ is a human being, but he has the properties of God. That's kind of a fake human being that you believe in, right?
How can he? Some others had different ideas. Thanks to whoever gifted them. For us to attain remission of screen on Discord, man?
Heard it before, but I don't know.
Thing is, right, like the doctrine of the high.
Yeah, you're committed to a view that just won't budge. No. It's not about that. It's about, look, I'll say it again, Nitty. When I critique the evolution proponent of when something becomes itself, whether it's the organ or the organism, when does an elephant become an elephant? Right? When does human beings become human beings? From your perspective, you're the one arguing that it's a naturalistic process starting from a not existing to existing. See, you have your own creation myth. Our view is God created man in the form we're in for the purpose of functioning, aligning ourselves to God. Then we have a fall. You don't accept that. That's fine. But we have a start point for categories. We have a start point for ontology. We have a start point. Okay, you don't. That's the difference between our models. You're asking me a question as if I hold your model. I don't. If God, look, you have to just take on my model. If God created all, created the human being as the human being is, right? And from our view, there's a fall, which changes the metaphysics and physics of the human being. From that view, even if you don't agree with the view or it doesn't make sense to you, that gives you a start point for what things are. That gives you a start point. My critique of your system, Nitty, is that you don't have a start point. You don't have a reason to hold to universals at all. That a liver is even a liver. Forget when it starts. How would you even know it's a liver if under nominalism? It's not like anything else. It's not identical to another liver. Is a liver known to do certain things and that's what a liver is? No, it could be changing under the evolutionary view. Do you understand the problem? You're trying to say, look, you have the same problem. During development, you can never tell when the liver actually becomes the liver in the process. Well, the question is whether or not a liver can develop into its proper function, right? You're asking a question based on a standard you don't accept anyway. There is no such thing as a properly formed liver from your view. There's no such thing as a properly formed or functioning brain. Nothing's proper. Nothing's doing the thing it's supposed to do. It's just incidentally doing the things. All right, Marilyn, 1 hour and 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour.
All right. Questions we got to answer, right? Vega, M Vega. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, I can hear you. Are you a Trinitarian?
No, I'm a God. I'm not a Trinitarian. I'm a pure theist. We're all God. Mike, you're God.
I'm not a Trinitarian. And I saw you on Jim Bob the other day, and I think you were more right than him. Not gonna lie.
Good. Oh, good. I'm glad that the wine mom weighed in. Look how happy he is that a drunk woman is calling. Look at him. He's in ecstasy. If you ask Marilyn by what standard, she'd be like, by the standard of 3 wines.
Cool.
By the standard of Chardonnay.
I just feel as though they're like
feelings.
We are all.
Oh gosh, we're all God. Here we go. Oh, wait, no, not this. No, wrong. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. From the top. Hold on, you guys. Where is it? Oh, okay. Hold on. Here we go. All right, from the top, you just feel. Marilyn, what do you feel?
Men, more than we fear God? Do we desire fellowship more than we desire the truth? Those are the types of hard questions we got to answer, right? Vega, M Vega. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, I can hear you. Are you a Trinitarian?
Awesome.
Are you shit-faced?
I'm not a Trinitarian. And I saw you on Jim Bob the other day, and I think you were more right than him. Not gonna lie.
Cool.
But I just feel as though they're like we are all God because of God. I feel like if we're God, we always were and we always will be. So
because of God.
Like idolizing creation and evolution over God's promises over us and being known before the world began.
Bro, don't steal my zoom in. These fuckers. Stealing my zoom. Dude, we don't want to see a zoom in of your face. It's like a zoom in on an 8-year-old. Taking my Zoom in effect. Unbelievable. I can take my Zoom mic.
Is, you know, a form of idolatry. I feel like most people they worship a death cult because they give more power and authority.
Fuck, Mike.
Authority to death and
You dirty little scoundrel. First you try to steal our theology, now you steal my Zoom in?
They just, like, it's still like Jew behavior. I hate to use that word, but it's not like Christ dying and
oh my gosh. Oh, Marilyn.
Really laying
There's only one God, but we're all God, and that's the one.
down his life as like what pleases God is Jesus, the God-man on the tree. The only thing that pleases God in our place.
Dude, you are... What kind of drugs are you on? Are you taking pre-workout, too?
I tried with Marilyn. It was not intellectual problem. Skeptical.
What is your favorite white wine?
I just feel like all of the sins of Adam are already covered by what Jesus did. So for us to feel any separatism is sort of like it's creating that sin again that Jesus already overcame. Like I have this hierarchical we're not friends of God. You know, Jesus came to tell us we are.
Hey, Marilyn, how are we God and we can sin? How can God sin? I mean, just... Seriously. How many of your support group meetings are you actually missing? Yeah. Hey, Provo. Yeah, how are you not fully doing the sign up for my cult thing? I wonder how Mike's going to handle this, though.
No longer called slaves, but friends, because we know Father's business. A slave does not know his father's business. Oof. We know Father's business.
We know Father's business? What are you, trying to give me t-shirt ideas? We know Father's business. Hey, listen. We know Father's business. We should... We know Father's business. Father said to stay out of his business. He told us when we should be in his business and when to stay out of his room.
So we are co-heirs with Christ. We are not, no one is above God, but I just don't feel like anyone is below God. We are all friends of God. So I don't know. That's my take.
Wow, what a take. Take her to the hospital.
Okay.
Father's business. We know Father's business.
So, man, there's a lot there to unpack. So, can you give me any scripture where it says that man becomes God?
Well, Jesus called us all gods. You know, I know y'all say little g. I don't know how G has a different meaning, uppercase or lowercase, but...
Oh, okay. Wait a second, though. So you believe in God, capital G, right?
Why were you in everyone's father's business?
I believe we have all the power and authority God has.
We have the power and authority God has? Why can't you... What do you mean? Why aren't you... Absolutely pray for Mary. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, she's a good sport.
As inheritors of being the image of God. I mean, Jesus...
Ma'am, please step out of the car. Ma'am. Please step out of the car, ma'am. So I'm going to walk the line, ma'am. Just going to have you do a couple tests. Do you mind if we search the car, ma'am? Ma'am? Father's... Ma'am. We know the Father's business. That's great, ma'am. Just go ahead and sit on the curb for me, ma'am. We're just going to have some people show up, okay? Nothing, processing nothing right now. Just sit tight for me. I always say sit tight. Sit tight. You know, you killed 3 people back there.
He did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage.
Are you
But
Jesus?
but being Christ-like is treating others above ourselves and the others' interests above our own, and that's kind of honor and worship.
All right, I hear you.
What seems to be the problem, Father? Oh, look, I got pulled over by God. Lady, can I create a rock so heavy that I can't?
I hear you.
That's funny. Don't I have that?
Can God create a rock so big he can't lift it? So I would really appreciate if you, answer the question.
Answer the question,
can
sir.
You give me
ma'am, can you just answer the question,
Bible
ma'am?
verse where it says that man can become God, like a capital G?
Oh, I don't think we become God. I think we already are God. We are blessed and called very good.
Ma'am, is that an open boxes? Are those open boxes of Chardonnay, ma'am, in the back there?
The image of God. We don't become anything. It's like Eve in the garden with the snake. You're not like God. You are not separate from God.
Okay, so maybe by chance you could just give scripture for that then?
I think it's evident with God sending his only begotten son and a sinless...
Wait, whoa, ma'am. Please stay on the curb, ma'am. Ma'am, if we're all God, ma'am, why are you choosing the Christian view and revelation system and scripture and not the Quran, ma'am? Or Buddhism, ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am, why are we talking about Christian doctrine, ma'am, if we're all God, ma'am?
His perfect beloved son to die for us even when we were sinners.
Woozy floozianity.
Shows
At least she's a good sport. She's not a mean drunk.
our worth to God and how much we mean to God, what we are really worth to him to do something like that.
Gaslighting me? I'm sorry, ma'am. Stay on the curb, ma'am. No. It's the opposite. You're gaslighting people by saying they're God, actually. By calling someone God, you're actually gaslighting them.
No, I don't know.
You don't know you're
I just
God.
wanted to talk to you, I guess. I don't know.
He's married, okay? He's married, ma'am. Ma'am. Touch your nose, ma'am. Can you count to 10? Hey, ma'am, can you count to 10 using the alphabet? I swear to junk, I'm not a god. Ma'am.
I appreciate your time.
Well, hey, I appreciate you wanting to come on and talk, but here's the thing. You're doing a whole lot of making claims. You're making a whole lot of truth claims. And when you're asked for, scripture, which I think is an authority over how we perceive,
Uh-oh, Mike. Scripture?
Truth.
Sola scriptura again.
What's true, what isn't. Then I think maybe your view could be coming from somewhere that's not good, that isn't true, right? How do you know what you believe is true? If you can't support it with scripture, do you see why that would be problematic?
Well, actually, it's not really problematic from her view, because if she was God, she didn't say she's the Christian God. So, I mean, to give her a little slack here, that's not the reason Mike... This shows a lot about Mike's position. The fact that his angle is scripture, but it's like, no, God, like, what are we talking about here? Why the Christian God? The same reason I asked Mike, why would we appeal to scripture at all to know God? Mike doesn't have a reason. He doesn't have a reason based in ecclesiology of why we're even looking to Scripture at all to determine Unitarian or non-Unitarian. Why are we choosing the Bible, dude? That's what I always ask Trinitarians. They're like stunned. They're like, wait, what? No one ever asked me that. Yeah, welcome to the jungle. Why would I follow a if a Unitarian stopped me on the street and I was totally not religious, why would I go to the Bible? Her name is Marilyn, and she called into Alex Soren's stream. Oh, I can't wait. I mean, W in the chat for Marilyn being a good sport, making herself the subject. Because we needed it today. I needed this, honestly.
Well, I guess the Bible says the Word of God is written on the tablets of our heart. And it's not an idol. It's not God. It doesn't come before what is worth the God, which is us. I believe those things a lot of times were for those people at that time. But, Jesus used Scripture. Jesus used love.
Is sola scriptura idolatry? Someone could make that argument, but it's more like a heresy in a sense. So people do turn, when they explicitly say the Scripture itself is the capital W word, yeah, essentially, because they're making Scripture God. So that would be, probably over the threshold into idolatry. Or they'll make, similarly, they'll make Scripture the fourth type of person, like an inanimate person of the Trinity, without them realizing it. So they might as well just rewrite it and say, in the beginning was Scripture. In the beginning was letters on paper. And the letters on paper lived among us and became flesh. Some of them even goes so far as saying that. Have you guys interacted with that before? I have. And I'm like, wait, dude, you actually believe Scripture? That Scripture itself is eternally uncreated? Like there's like a metaphysical bundle of Scripture somewhere that's waiting to be actual? Like, huh?
Of to determine.
That's what more Muslims hold, by the way. So there's no reason, Mike. I bet Mike, if you guys do call-ins in the future with Mike, give him some trouble. Go outside of the Christian paradigm. Ask him, on what basis is he not a Muslim? I don't know if he'd be able to answer it.
And what Scripture it means. People like to use Scripture to determine what love means, but I think that's a separation.
Okay, so
wait,
if man can become God, and there's a lot of different men, then how is there only one God? And
Mike, you're not even listening to her. She didn't say men could become God. She said we're already God. You're not a good listener, dude. Why? What is this? What is this you're doing? Why? She already corrected you on that. I can't believe I have to side with Marilyn now. You know what I'm saying? This is a disgrace.
In your view.
Well, we're all part of the one body. I don't think anyone can be an idol if everyone is God.
That means idolatry is impossible.
If we all revere everyone as kings and queens, and we all have power and authority, we more have the Holy Spirit within us and see everyone as if they were Christ, and we are doing it for Christ. So, there is a balance in the system. Rather than a grandiose,
Ma'am, I told you to stay on the curb, ma'am. You're inching closer to the trunk, ma'am. Is something in the trunk, ma'am? Ma'am, what are these tubes filled with this sort of yellowy, bubbly liquid coming from the trunk? Ma'am, what are these tubes? What's the liquid in the tubes that's leading to a strange custom helmet on the car seat with a mouthpiece? Ma'am, what, you want to tell us what this is, ma'am? His God juice. His father. It's, what was the saying? It was father's, what was her saying? Father, what does she say? Oh, I can't believe I forgot it already. It's Father's, what? Father's treasure? I forgot what she said.
Oh, master slave system. It's
How can you enslave God?
I don't know. It's more of a appreciation where God can walk and talk with you and not feel like it's an idol, turning God into an idol.
All right, so listen, I
I
got to be honest with you.
I appreciate
you sound extremely confused.
No,
you sound like you've been influenced by Gnostic beliefs. Okay,
that's rich.
But I'm not Gnostic.
I don't think you're Gnostic, but I think that you've been influenced by certain secret hidden knowledge type beliefs. So listen, you sound very confused. You're making a lot of assertions. You're quoting script.
Now that's a lot. When Metaphysics Mike, based on his Christology, comes after you and calls you a Gnostic, that is... Now we're at peak level internet. Shut the internet down.
That don't really exist, right? No, it doesn't say that
Father's
God
business.
wrote the law on our heart. That's not how that verse actually goes. That's like one of 8 different things that we could talk about
absolutely,
right now. So
dude.
listen, I am looking for Trinitarians tonight.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yeah,
Mike.
hey, maybe if there's another time that we could dive into this more specifically, I'd totally be open to speaking with you again. Yeah, but we're looking for Trinitarians tonight.
All right. Thank you.
She was nice. She was nice.
She does. She has a cult following. She does. She's like a feature. She's like one of the characters from South Park. All right.
Nice.
Does he actually
Very
come
nice.
up with a actual Trinitarian? Marilyn has a better
Baby, let
dude,
her
better.
speak. I'm starting to warm up to her. Walter says, I feel like I must have smoked something and forgot. You guys.
Father's business. All right. What was it, Soren? Alex Soren. All right, let's see. Live. Anybody got a timestamp? So yesterday, that guy from Ruslan's conference, Joshua Naidu. Actually, I kind of want to know about this.
We got a membership from Paul. I went through them with Josh a little bit. He didn't have any strong objections to any of it. So just...
Wait, is this him? Is this the guy?
To get you guys up to date, I'll just read through it for you guys. So,
oh, nice.
Recently, Cassian King, you guys know Cassian. We recently reacted to a video posted by...
Why do people hide this from me?
So you said, real quick, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, of course.
But that it was around the time that you were completing or had completed your MTS degree that you do that for their whole life. I know. Typing this was restricted to members of his channel
Thank
only.
you, Hitbone.
That there are seasoned veteran Orthodox scholars and apologists in California that would have been like when you get if your bishop moves.
Listen, they're a great part of my craft.
Offer credentials. Wait, hold on. Let me. Yeah, I'll show you. I haven't got caught live
For orthodoxy,
Dude,
like
we
that's
take this seriously.
Dog, very.
He's lost it. Yeah, this was a
the filioque in the
nature of sin.
Distractions.
Let's do this. We're not expressing to them like, hey, don't call me brother, because you're not in the church, and not intending to be overly harsh. But
the view, and this is I'm just
more of your.
Where is it?
On?
Oh, here we go. Yes. Yes.
Technically, in the most technical sense, they're not necessarily my brother in Christ.
Dude, that's such a lawyer move.
Yeah, I picked it up from Justin from Transfigured Life. I don't know where he got it from, but it's like, hello, my brother in Adam. How are you? You know, like, or a friend, you know, my Protestant friends, right? Because you can be friendly with somebody and still think that they're not a Christian, right? And it's like, we're not trying to be mean. Our church has exclusivity claims. We're just trying.
God bless, man.
All right, Marilyn, let's go.
Can you do 2 more callers, Josh?
Yeah, I can do 2 more, and then I'll have to bump off.
Okay. Next up is Marilyn. How are
Hey
you, Marilyn?
guys, I'm good. How are
You've
you all?
developed a bit of a reputation for yourself in the chat. What's going
Yeah,
on?
they're begging me to come up here. They always
Why?
do that.
What are you gonna destroy us?
I'm in a lot of Orthodox chats. I am in a lot of Orthodox chats, but I'm not Orthodox. My uncle by marriage was a deacon in the Greek Orthodox Church. So when I was growing up, I've been to a lot of services and stuff.
Yes, that means
but
you know everything about Holy Orthodoxy.
I understand that. I think it's a beautiful thing y'all got going on. If you know, everything was well and good, but it's not well and good. So I'm not
Well and
Orthodox.
good? Why not?
Ma'am, how'd you get over here, ma'am? I thought you were sitting on the curb. How'd you wind up in another stream, ma'am? Ma'am. That's okay, ma'am. You're sick. We just want to keep you safe. Keep people safe. Just gonna ask you to just kindly, ma'am, just sit on the curb and just wait your turn. Yeah, you can see your phone if you want. That's fine. You want to call into a stream from the curb? The idea that Marilyn is in the middle of a DUI arrest and every time she calls into a stream, it's from the curb is hilarious.
It's the one true church.
The world's not good. If y'all were the one true church, then the world would be good.
That's a non sequitur.
Does that make sense?
No.
No.
No, the ark is the bad of the world.
No, it doesn't.
If y'all was a true church, then why was I so late filing my taxes?
Makes sense.
It does.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Why does the whole world have to be perfect for Orthodoxy to be the true church? Are you Spicoli's daughter?
What?
Are you Spicoli's daughter?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
Larry Flint was my grandpa, though.
Lord of mercy. Why does this make so much sense? Why does this have to make so much sense? Larry Flint was your grandpa? Oh, no. Ma'am, you didn't need to tell us that, ma'am. Anything else you want to say? Ma'am, we're not going to... Ma'am, I promise we're not going to use that against you. Just, keep silent. Keep still. Just sit tight on the curb here until we get some people arrive, okay?
The Hustler magazine guy.
Oh.
Anyways. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah. Anyways.
I don't know if that's what they were talking about.
That's the only thing that's holding you back from becoming Orthodox?
Well,
Larry Flint is perhaps one of the most horrific figures in American history in regards to degeneracy. Basically, an iconic court case and subject that really just followed with the unbridled insanity that we see today insofar as pornography. And by the way, he's like venerated in Hollywood, right? He's like as if he's like the civil rights. He's like Martin Luther King Jr., but for pornography.
I think most people would have followed Satan out of, like Lucifer, out of heaven, because people seem to need a master. They don't need a friend and a lover.
And this is why women don't teach in the church, essentially. I mean, You know, it's like so sad, Marilyn. You know, we love you, and you know this by way of us correcting you constantly. There's like a good female nature in there, and it's just misplaced. That's all. Just following orthodoxy around. You're just following orthodoxy around. Yeah, big figure in free speech, which really just, you know. And what sucks is that the right wing for so long, still many of them clinging on to it today. They think that is the root mechanism for virtue in our country. And why we're so superior to other countries is because everybody's allowed to say whatever the hell they want and depict anything they want, because, you know, the highest virtue is that we get to manufacture our thoughts in any particular way. If Orthodox is a true church, then why am I out of wine? Why am I in the curb?
And I just
I'm a little bit what's going on? I'm a bit confused. Is there lore I'm missing?
Yeah, there's a lore.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
There is. Alex doesn't know the lore, but there's a lore. Even Alex might be missing here. The Marilyn is lore for Alex if you're watching.
Marilyn has a reputation.
Okay, no, there is a lore. Yeah, he knows it.
I just realized that I could click over on comments and there's like 1,000 I've missed. So I'm not going over there, but I feel like I'm missing something.
Wait, do you think you are God?
Yes, I think we're all God because of God. Everyone.
I think we're all God because of God. Marilyn, is that your hair or is that a helmet?
I believe we always were and we always will be.
Where on earth did you get that idea from?
Well, Jesus called us gods. He said anyone who does God's will is my brother, sister, and mother. So it's
but not in that Mormon sense.
It's so stupid. It's like, why listen to Jesus if you're God? That's just another dude who's God. Like, there's people who reject that Jesus was God. So were they God too, Marilyn? This is really basic stuff.
You
know, this might be the problem with the internet, honestly. Where you get introduced, like Marilyn gets enough attention, right? So she plays a part in a sense. But if she gives up the part, does she not get the attention? Are we doing are we doing a disservice to Marilyn giving her too much attention? Because it's training her brain and her experience to go, whoa, I get a lot of feedback and attention. It might be negative or positive, but I get it. And it seems to be correlated to my silly Gnostic stances, and I become the absurdity. But I just love that. I just love it. You know, this is I think this might be the problem in general with the way the internet is orchestrated here. It's like it's not about whether or not what she's saying is true or coherent or helping people. It's like she's a fixture. She's like a written character in all of our episodics. And here comes Marilyn. It's like, maybe I should stop engaging. Maybe the best thing for Marilyn is to block her from everything and never have her come on any show. Because look what it's doing to her. It's actually not helping you. At all. Because you're just going to keep coming back. Oh, I'm Marilyn. I'm the weird, wine lady. I get I go to all the Orthodox bars online. And all the Orthodox bars, oh, here comes Marilyn. We're going to have a good hoot with her. Here, let me buy you a drink, Marilyn. Hey, God, I'm God. You're God. This is bad. We're simping. We're simping for Marilyn. Oh, no. Guys, we're simping for Marilyn. Marilyn, goodbye. Talk to me when you start attending liturgy, Marilyn. Wrenches, Austin, you're no longer welcome in Jortlandia. Goodbye. You're out. Go. Be gone. You're gone. It's for your own sake. It's for your own good. It's like kicking you out of the bar. You just keep coming back. It's not good for you. We'll take you serious when you announce that you're a catechumen. How about that? It's not good for you. It's not good for you to show up in all these places. I am Marilyn. Yeah, I'm that girl. Hey, guys. And it's all these men, right? It's all men giving you attention. This is terrible. This is terrible. Men, stop it. Everyone stop it. All you Orthodox people, stop it. Don't let her on. Not good. Go to liturgy. Get out of here. You're done. And by the way, Marilyn, this is love. This is actual love. Love isn't letting you on and talking about this stuff. Get out of here. This is where get out of here is loving. Bye. Nice. Exactly. Simp tax. Yeah. By the way, yeah, pay your simp taxes. Everybody who knew you were doing it, look, I'll pay too. I'll pay. You guys get we'll do the book giveaway. Maybe I'll do the book giveaway during the debate on Saturday. Simp tax. Go to liturgy, Marilyn. See ya. It just all got so clear to me. I'm watching her. She's all glassy-eyed. Stop. Stop it. Yeah, pray for Marilyn, but don't pay for her. For the New Age Wine Mom Deportation Fund. Yes, yeah, we need a fund. We need to deport these people. And by the way, it's not just women, just so you know. It's like, she's a really good example, but like, there's a lot of people. Remember Disclaimer or whatever his name is? Was that his name? Reclaimer? No, not Reclaimer. What was his name? Started with a D. He had like 1 million accounts, just like Marilyn. And it got to the point where it's like, we're actually not helping this person. We're not helping him. Then the closest thing to Marilyn at this point is that Zero guy. Zero Lessons. He's the closest male to the category of Marilyn. We can fix her. Yeah. She's like exactly. She's like the stripper. You're like, no, I could save you. We can save you. Here's some dollars. Oh, Marilyn, stop it. That move. Fatherly discipline. Larry Flint could never. That's right. Yeah. Distraction. Was that his name? Distinction. Distraction. Yeah, we call him distraction. Yeah, very similar, right? She does it's like a nice puppy dog ankle biting. Like, it's not the masculine type where it's like it's you're ankle biting, you're being aggressive. She's like I'm lost, save me. But then you give her all the answers and she's like, yeah, but I'll never unsee it. She only needs a green card into orthodoxy. Yeah, anyone want to give a green card? Oh, man. Yeah, she's been in all the chats. You guys got to ban her, honestly. Everyone Orthodox, you're not helping Marilyn until you ban her. Okay, this is like an intervention. This is what intervention looks like. You're not helping Marilyn until she's banned from everywhere. Everywhere. Because guess what? She's clearly gravitating toward orthodoxy. And the online sphere, I'm not the church. I'm not orthodoxy. You're not going to get orthodoxy from me or Jay or Andrew or Soren or anyone. You're going to get information. You're going to get some entertainment. But you got to cut her off so that if she wants orthodoxy, she needs to go to orthodoxy. This seems to be a big problem within maybe online orthodoxy. It's not the ortho broing. It's not like people being mean. That's just people being people, honestly. I think it's much more of a problem that people are substituting, if they are, going to orthodoxy, into orthodoxy, and they're substituting that with online exchanges. Oh, no, I get it. No, I watch this and I watch that. And I get this and I'm a member here. I love that one. Oh, I love it. Orthodox, what you guys got going on is beautiful. Can I freely get into the club without doing anything or getting into the club? No. It makes me think, like, if there's any channels that give people some false experience that they're getting orthodoxy from the channel and not from the church, then we're doing wrong. That's what I think. You got to cut them off so they go. It's like a smoke them out of the hole. Go to the real thing, not us. I'm not where you're going to get it, guys. She's kicked out. Yeah, not only kicked out, but I'm going to advocate she's kicked out of all of the Orthodox chats and channels. It's not good. Lost little lady. She's already been banned. Yeah, that's what's giving her fix. She's like a crackhead. I think that's too generous. She's actively trying to subvert the true church. Well, I mean, that's the thing. If she does it online, she can't do it. She's got a bigger task if she wants to subvert. She's going to have to do it at church, which is she's going to realize that she can't do that. So speaking of, I want to watch something. I met someone at my parish, and he sent me this link because he's related to the person. And it's about beauty. And he was on...
Thank you. As I mentioned to you earlier, the conference on the Christian life, Dr. Tim, it's been wonderful to have you this weekend.
So this is Dr. Timothy Patistas.
It's been wonderful to be here, Father Josiah. Thank you. As I mentioned to you earlier, the Patistas name has been in my head for a long time. Your family, you have quite a family, quite a marvelous family, and some family members who have even graced this parish over the years, which is a real happiness for us. We're very happy to bring you out west.
It's all right, we'll get her.
It's fantastic to be here.
Just keep banning her.
I have almost 20 nieces and nephews, so they're around the world spreading the name. Okay. Well, I really appreciate your being able to hear. You gave 2 lectures over the course of this weekend to us. Your first lecture on beauty, and it left me quite moved. In fact, your ability not just to draw from our tradition, our Orthodox tradition, but also your competence in contemporary art, film, literature, which you sprinkled through both of your talks was...
This is why I'm focusing. It's not just because one of my fellow parishioners is related. We were talking about this at coffee hour and how, in addition to like debates and like, you know, pushing back against, resuscitated heresies and all that, it's really important and stuff, right? All the debate stuff. I don't knock it because I think it's helpful for the type of mind that helps. And then, but there's this other thing that it's not missing. It's just not as highlighted. That's all. And that thing that's not as highlighted, because it's easier to highlight on blood sports and debate and like church history debates and all of theology. It's harder to highlight and get people's attention the subject of beauty and how, if you think about it, you think, oh, and we're going to transform America and make it Orthodox, right? Obviously, that requires conversions, mass baptisms, and by the way, honestly, a huge increase in priests, right? Those are the key concerns. Those are the urgent ones. But if you think about the question, oh, we're going to make America Orthodox, it's not just that there's people who attend liturgy and the services and participate in the holy tradition, and then you know them that way. Oh, cool, you're Orthodox? Like, it's always a beautiful thing if you ever meet someone who's Orthodox. I saw one of my parishioners at my gym a couple weeks ago, and it was like a nod. I didn't need to approach and chat him up, or it was just like this acknowledgement. Now, when you take that further down, like, what are the fruits of orthodoxy? What is if the world is already filled with a type of iconography, consumerist iconography, disgusting iconography, it's a subverted iconography. Architecture is a type of symbol of something. It's an indication of the view of the mind. What is it the mind of? What is this architecture the mind of? And when you think about orthodoxy, in addition to like, oh, everyone's based and everyone's, guys, we're all based now. America's Orthodox. Look at all the veils on the women everywhere. It's like, yeah. But the thing is, we often don't even notice is all of the beauty that we would be bringing into the world, that you would be making things that are beautiful, that you'd be, that architects would be making things that were beautiful, that the music would be made beautiful, that things would be made beautiful aesthetically. And sometimes, like I say many times, that sometimes the thing that moves people to orthodoxy is actually the experience of liturgy, in contrast to some debate that someone won. And that makes sense to me. That actually makes more sense than the debate. It makes more sense that people are moved by their experience. Now, what is it about the experience of orthodoxy when you go in and check it out, when we say come see and they actually do? They don't think, oh, well, I was in liturgy and it was amazing, but I couldn't stop thinking about this one ecumenical council debate that I saw online. It just really, that was the thing. I was like, I'm coming back. No. It's the experience. Well, what's the experience inside liturgy? It's full sensory experience. It's all of it. It's the whole thing. So it would make sense if we were to say, let's make America Orthodox, we would be making America Orthodox. It's not just a conversion. It's a conversion. It's a baptism of the external world itself, not just the people. And so this is why this is important, people like this, because they're speaking about orthodoxy from the aesthetic, from the aesthetic position, and not the we're theologically right position. It's a different. They go together, but they're not the same attack. And beauty moves people into. It moves people into positions. Beauty, a lot more than intellectualism, I think, in my experience. Acquire the spirit of peace, and 1,000 souls around you will be saved. Saint Seraphim of Sarov, yeah. That was a bear whisperer, right? Anyway, well,
very, very encouraging. Can you share it with us a little bit about what you were trying to affirm in your lectures here? What were you trying to set forth for us?
So the idea of certain transcendentals like being or beauty, goodness, and truth has been around since Socrates and since Plato. And more recently in the 20th century, one person in particular, Hans Urs von Balthasar, the great Jesuit theologian, he was busily recovering Dionysius and Maximus for 20th century theology, and quite effectively, really. And he also came up with this idea that the three transcendentals in particular, beauty, goodness, and truth, should be approached in that order. I had been exposed to this in the PhD program, and it didn't really make an impression. And later on, when I was doing work in social ethics with war trauma, I could see sort of the dark flip of that. I could see an experience of profound ugliness rather than beauty, concealing malevolence rather than goodness. And if that experience is so intense that it arises to the level of, it seems to reveal the truth about the world, then we have a traumatic reaction. So I got interested in trying to really say that the Orthodox way can be described as a beauty, goodness, truth unfolding. And really the big support for that too was Wounded by Love by St. Porphyrios. And von Balthasar actually talked too about how beauty could wound us in a good way. So a lot of that came back, and I think, as a teacher, so much as can you start with inspiration, or can you address a problem that people have, rather than just giving an abstract depiction of the truth that neither inspires the student nor is really has any utility. We just skip beauty and goodness and just get straight to, well, here's the facts.
Right.
Yeah, there you get that utility. That's why, like, everything that's based in consumerism and purely consumerism, from that perspective, just a strict capitalistic view without any of the ethics, without any of the priority on aesthetics. What do you do? Everything's a turnover. Oh, that's a waste of space to put that beautiful column. Why would we do that? That could be used for a tchotchke sales table. Some goblin looking at a piazza in Italy, the wide open, beautiful space that's all laid brick. There's beauty all around. Huge scale, too. The scale. There's something beautiful about the scale. Most people think about scale and they think they're being dwarfed, and it's like, oh, it's horrifying, the scale, like deep space scale or whatever. But scale sometimes is beautiful. Like, there's something about scale. If you're surrounded with beauty at scale, you actually feel like you're being hugged, not being like taken. And so, but the consumerist mind wants to turn over. So they look at a piazza in Italy in a big wide open space, and they go, these people are not even capitalizing on the retail space. Think of the toinoivoi.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I said I'm talking about consumerism. What's your problem, dude? Like, you can talk. And so from that perspective, he's right. Everything leads to, without the beauty, without the priority of beauty and truth, without the transcendentals as the thing that's informing our behaviors are just reduced down to material. And this is what we're in now. We're in this age, this page in the book of this particular era of humanity, where we're pulled down into the worldliness of pure exchange transactions, square buildings. Oh, that square building, I'm glad there's nothing really on there because I want to turn it into a vape shop after they leave. So everything is replaceable. The identity of a shop, it's in a shell, a square shell, and the identity could be swapped out and the shell maintains what it is. And orthodoxy could take the same square shell. You've guys been to them. My first liturgy I ever attended was in a small, tiny parish that when you walk in, it was fully transformed. Now, with some money, obviously you transform the outside as well, but it just shows that, like, that the aesthetic is what draws people. Aesthetic is what takes people from the U.S. and makes them want to even visit any ancient culture to begin with. Think about, what are they actually visiting? What are they actually taking in? It's the aesthetic. Even the food would be an extension of the aesthetic. But that's lost. If you don't prioritize that, it's lost. It just comes down to, well, we'll just move things around. That's what we're doing here, moving things around.
The pedagogical value of beauty and as a starting point, you emphasized quite a bit. Why is beauty set forth at the beginning? Why is it such an important starting point?
Well, for Dionysius the Areopagite, the basic schema of creation is the true God was so good that his goodness could not be contained within himself, and it spills over outside himself as beauty. And when it does, non-being, I mean, this is a mystery, falls in love with that beauty and leaves itself behind. It leaves non-being behind and enters being. And there it learns the principles of goodness and becomes true, becomes, what it is. So for God, the sequence is truth, goodness, beauty, and for us, it's the mirror image. Mm-hmm. But I think really the heart of your question is why beauty? Because it's sort of God at his most vulnerable, at his most generous. He's just laying it all out on the table for us. He's just so good, a loving father.
Food is a beauty that's under considered. Yeah, and when you veer away from tradition, and I'm not even talking about just like a Christian tradition, the holy tradition. I'm talking about just general cultural traditions. When you splinter all of that with mass immigration, you actually lose beauty. Like, if there is a type of beauty in a culture that it's not even orthodox, but the standard would ultimately be orthodox metaphysics. But if there was beauty in the food or in something there, right? if there was anything that was beautiful in there, it can't maintain itself if you just infiltrate it with a bunch of mass pollination. It turns into a gray sludge. And if you make speed and convenience the priority, the beauty in food would be a product of sacrifice. Notice how when you take the time to make food, most of us don't have the time. I'll just throw this together then. Notice how when you put in the effort and the sweat and the love into food and you organize it properly and it's timed properly and you could be thoughtful about it and you can present it properly, the whole experience is beyond just forking food into your mouth. You know what I mean? But in a culture that's moving so quickly and you're always on to the next thing, you just grab the thing and eat it and there's no beauty. You don't even mention it. It's just sustenance. You're just sustenance. It's like, well, no. Where's the appreciation? Well, I don't have time. Think about that. We are in a culture where we don't have time for appreciation. And I don't mean enjoyment, pure enjoyment, like consumption appreciation, like a feeling in my head, like oh, that's just so good. No, I mean appreciation, like the wholeness. That's why family dinners are so beautiful. You actually dedicate the time for everyone to sit down. They speak properly. They sit properly. You pray. You enjoy each other's company, right? There's something there that's a ritual that's reflective of beauty, but requires time. But in a culture with no time, how do you expect to have any beauty? Oh, let's build a cathedral. That's going to take 3 centuries. Whatever. Oh, we should build that. Oh, there's no use. There's the cost of the dome iconography or this or that is just we have to go with the room. Oh man, let's build a wide open space for people to be. Yeah, but the overhead. I don't know about that. The overhead, it doesn't make sense. Can we build a wide open space for people we'll have some pillars and stuff and beauty, but can we set up some tables to sell, I don't know, what are those new demon toys?
Just making, setting the table, showing so much hospitality to every created thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, delighting us.
Yeah, it's, you start life in your mother's arms. And then when you're stabilized and you're 7, it's time to meet dad.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I don't want to over-exaggerate, but you know what I mean.
Sure, and start confessing too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also connected it somehow to the powers of the soul, and its kind of traditional Greek articulation.
Is there a true type of Orthodox beauty in an In-N-Out burger? In the burger itself or at an In-N-Out burger? Yeah, well, there would be, look, the standard for beauty, even for things that are inverted, I always use the example of Picasso, like abstract stuff and all of that surreal stuff, surrealism. That whole counter to art and proper form and beauty, it actually is using beauty and form and symmetry as the positive, and it's trying to draw some type of pseudo beauty from the negative of it. Oh, what if I put the eye on the elbow? Wow, I'm so avant-garde. Hey, did you see this new artist? What does he do? He does really stupid sketches of horses, but they don't look like horses, but they do. Oh my gosh, it's changing the world. So I think that's might be true for all architecture or aesthetic, even at an In-N-Out burger, that there's something that it's borrowing from, even in the smallest sense that you can find the beauty in it. That it's still borrowing from something. That's what I would say.
Could you help us a little bit with that?
So it seems like this
JLP and Brian Shapiro. Oh boy, I'll save that for tomorrow. I know that Ben Shapiro did an announcement too. He talked about Christianity a bit, so I was going to attack that. But I honestly, talking about beauty and then bringing up either Brian Shapiro or Ben Shapiro seems counterintuitive.
Tripartite sequence of beauty, goodness, truth. Really, there's a mirror. Our organism is designed for that, and we have desiring powers which respond to beauty, We have spirited or fighting powers which can contest for goodness.
Dude, I take everybody seriously. Everybody. Every comment I take seriously.
And then we have intellectual powers which can investigate truth. And a big part of my writing is just focusing on the fact that early on, by the 4th century, somehow in the West, the idea became that we should start with the intellectual.
The reading he mentioned, Wounded by Love, is something so relatable to read. It describes what monks struggle with and people who find themselves falling fully in love with Christ. Once you feel his love, it's so wonderful that everything in the world seems bland by its standard, and you find yourself only searching for that love, and it creates a danger in which you want to separate yourself from the world, isolate and disconnect so that you may focus on Christ alone. But the issue is that you ignore the command to love your neighbor because the love you feel for Christ is hard to feel in others because you see their flaws, and because of that you fail to see the image and the icon of Christ in everyone. It's a true tug and pull. Giovanni.
Thank you, Giovanni. And Vagine. Giovanni. Yeah, that's why iconography, when people criticize iconography, they really are taking the most superficial surface reaction to what they think iconography is, merely like, oh, it's imagery, scary, graven imagery. Like they think all these things. And then once you get deeper into orthodoxy and the category of iconography, it's so deep and meaningful and expands way beyond people's conception, reducing iconography to mere written images or the feast day icons or your saint, your patron saint icons. It's such a an accurate, complete way of seeing the world itself. But it's unfortunate that we're still swatting away the most unthoughtful, superficial attacks on iconography. We're constantly batting off just the worst of the contentions, the silliest of the contentions.
Powers. And the East, whether it was the Egyptian deserts or just really, I think of it as the Semitic East, said no. You always start with the sensual, with the desiring powers, and you follow this beauty, goodness, truth sequence. So if we can make that distinction clear, I think it helps a lot of people who grew up in a truth-first world or a goodness-only world, yes, of efficiency and power, and say, oh, yeah, I understand that Orthodox difference now. I can find my place in that.
Do you think that is particularly relevant for people who are becoming Orthodox and are experiencing the church in the same way, where beauty is what confronts them? I was just thinking about the liturgy today. We had many first-time visitors today who have never been in an Orthodox liturgy before, and they come into the church, they hear beautiful things. They may not understand everything, it may not yet transfer to their mind, but they're hearing it done at a level of great devotion, so it hits them as beautiful. They're overwhelmed by images that they see. It's almost a tsunami of iconography when they come in. And they see families. They also, not just what's always at church, the beautiful things, but also to see families, older and younger, lots of little children, and parents trying to pray. It has such a powerful effect upon them. I'm wondering if this is just an example of this beauty first, moving into goodness and truth, later in their Orthodox experience as they enter into catechism. I'm wondering if this is an example of how we're made, that it's natural to move into the church this way.
Yeah, that's a good one, Phone Punk. Yeah. It always comes back to Christ as the icon of the Father, and then us being like Christ, we become. They think icon just means a painting from their view. Oh, icons. It's like, dude, Lord of mercy. No wonder I get so mad. I'm like, what? Oh, icon's just a picture. No, please stop. Art grad here. I gotta say, studying Byzantine iconography left me with a feeling that I didn't really experience with another kind. Yeah. I'm really excited, and I can't make it to DebateCon 8. Looks really fun. A lot of fun debates there and topics. I won't be able to go because I will be in a 6 full day intensive iconography course. So I'm pretty pumped about it myself to study it, at least even in that short period of time.
It's natural, but as I think you've said, whatever gets
That's
a person
awesome.
there, it's handsome is as handsome does a lot of times. And for some people, it's studying history, and another person, they feel where they are, it just isn't working, so that brings them. But
Sure.
once you come to the church, then you do need to allow yourself to be natural and to understand that this beauty, goodness, truth sequence is the divinely appointed one. And to another name I have for it in terms of healing is the sequence is animal, human, person. Fasting. We don't eat animals, and we get in touch with this bodily reality that rules us unconsciously. Bring your body to your side. Use incense in worship. Have a worship space that is just resetting your whole nervous system in a healthy way, and then you can take the additional steps. Yeah.
Will I be able to write all the icons at that new chapel? No. I don't think so. No, it'll be years, I think. I don't even know the process. I talked to Justin here and there, Merc, not half black Justin. I don't know if they approve that in the church yet. What happened to Marilyn? Enslaved by Truth, we realized that it's a disservice to keep her around and that she's getting too much positive feedback loop attention from following Orthodox channels around or whoever else, even non-Orthodox channels. And that's best for her not to get that experience from channels instead. If she wants be around orthodoxy, you got to go physically be around it, not online. Sorry, not sorry.
In your lectures here, you made reference to the great Alexander Sultziniten and his gulag, and especially his 1978 Harvard speech, which was such a, what shall I say, explosive on the American scene, radically explosive on the American scene. Could you share with those who are watching today, why were you referencing that, and what value do you see in that?
It's very, there's a kind of ancient grammar of social life or political life, which is kind of the common inheritance of the human race. I mean, you find it on different continents. It's very old, and it's an approach to society where there are different moral syndromes. That one is good at commerce and the other is good at war, let's put it like that, or governance. And you need both for a society to survive, but they are different enough that they're in conflict. And some third force, which is love, has to bring them together. So once upon a time, everyone kind of knew this. And in Orthodoxy, we celebrate this literally every year at Holy Week, where the king comes to marry his city. But with the Enlightenment, they were looking for a more unitary, truth-first approach. It didn't, that idea of a tripartite society seemed like a fairy tale, or who knows what. They wanted something that was a machine rather than a living organism. Well,
Shout out EBT. Natural theology didn't help. Go into your reason faculties purely. Not a great thing.
Solzhenitsyn said in 78, he didn't explicitly make reference to the tripartite and that lost inheritance. He just said, you guys are you're too merchant, and you've lost courage, and that's going to sink you. And then he said, and in the medieval period, you went to the other extreme. You were too warrior and not enough merchant. And then he said, and besides, there's a third thing, the spiritual life. Well, no one knew how to, we think we're enlightened, but part of the Enlightenment was a mass forgetting of what everyone knew that was just common sense. So everybody...
Yeah. Screw the Enlightenment, right? We want the illumined. It's like this false enlightenment through pure rationalization and intellectualism. Yeah, it'll flutter a couple of brain waves. Get you, give you a sense of like, oh, I figured something out here. This is amazing. But ultimately, it's bankrupt, and everyone's seeing that. And by the way, all the political stuff that we see today isn't absent. It's not like it's in a vacuum. It's still downstream from all of this. Like that worldview essentially crafted the document of our nation. I know people love, for some sort of leverage in a debate to maybe say like, generally speaking, the beginning of our nation and its principles are Christian. That's just rhetoric, though. You know, when it really comes down to it, it's not properly. It's not properly Christian.
He was groping in darkness, and they cursed him, and he's ungrateful. How dare he criticize us? But
yeah, no, he wasn't appreciated then, was he? Either in the East or in the West. But it seems like he has been vindicated, radically vindicated.
Oh, he said, you know, that Western Europe. He said even their very existence won't be enough to pay off the guilt that they feel for their empires. They will literally end their own existence, and that's exactly what we're seeing today. That they just can't think. They can't just think rationally about the immigration question. You know?
Yes, Kyrie eleison 100 times.
Yeah, and
I was also blessed and fascinated by your constant interacting with art.
Immigration is huge too. It's like the idea that there are people in trying circumstances and whether or not they need help. The direct answer of, well, they need help, therefore, you know, just import them into an existing society. Like, that's not clear. That's actually not clear thinking, right? Help would be teaching them to fish. Help would be, help wouldn't be just transplanting them. That doesn't help either culture. But there is a consequence to that in the context of this conversation. What constitutes beauty? Well, if you import a culture and they have no obligation or imperative to assimilate or transform, in a sense, be baptized, you know, in a lowercase b, you know, in a more in a purely symbolic way, they're not, you know. To be in the church, you have to go through a process to get baptized. Well, the nation isn't the same as that, but there's something parallel to that where you just have people go everywhere and there's no shedding of anything. There's no sacrifice of anything. You leave nothing behind. There's no death. There's no death. There's no death and resurrection symbolically in immigration. It's just like, no, I get a free, it's like Star Trek. It's like buzz me in, you know, beam me up, Scotty. I want to go to Canada. I want to go here. Beam me up. But it's like, yeah. You don't have to do anything? No, I'm just in here. I'm here.
And literature and film particularly, I found your references to many, well, you referenced not just movies, but also television shows. What is happening right now in the secular West with regards to film? On the one,
what's this called? It's on Patristic Nectar. It's fair. I don't know how recent it is. It's called Beauty First with Dr. Timothy Patistas.
Yeah, we have some really great epics that in my own children's life have really impacted them greatly, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit and the Harry Potter movement. That just grabbed us for like 15 years as a nation. We even held a conference here. Actually,
not me.
Hosted a conference just dedicated to whether to understand Harry.
I've seen pictures of India already.
Harry Potter, and we brought in two speakers. One who was very pro Potter, was actually an Orthodox reader and a classicist, who was making an argument that Rowley was using basically traditional tropes throughout, and then a person over here who thought it was really was a Baptist pastor, but who was very educated in literature and thought it was pagan, kind of trying to glorify the pagan. But what do you see happening in 21st century West with regards to film right now?
I'm not sure. I suspect what may be happening is a little bit like what happens when private capital buys a hospital system, and they buy it on debt, and they put the debt onto the hospital, and then they
cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
The accountants to, you know, everything is about return on that.
Talking about the Rockefellers or
investment in a very short term, and it seems like film has gone. The creative impulse is gone. The quality, it's just about milking franchises.
They use traditional trope to normalize degenerate. Yeah, just like, I mean, it's all the same. It's like at the level of like two dudes or two chicks wanting to be married. They want to borrow the aesthetic and the deep meaning of marriage and the institution and how it's seen in the public, without actually acknowledging that it actually has its own metaphysics to it. It has its own duties to it. It has its own built-in system. You can't just take a part of it. So they always borrow and then subvert and then ultimately invert, subvert, and then if they can, totally invert it. It's horrifying, but it's like you see it everywhere. You just see it everywhere. You can't unsee it.
For maximal return.
Yes, which is why we have so many horror films, just because the commercial product works.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
there's no value in them, but they're just one after the other because they're going to make a few $1 million or.
This Ian McGilchrist, who wrote The Master and His Emissary about the brain hemispheres, and he says, there's a right way to think, and it's right hemisphere, left hemisphere, back to the right. That is beauty, goodness, truth. Then that's the neurological basis for that. And that's why I'm sure that this is correct, because he's just got the science. But what he says can happen is you get stuck in this left brain of analysis, and it seems so much more persuasive, all the facts. And, we're going to make money. And venture capital buys a restaurant famous for its bread and says, we can make millions if we just shave a few pennies off the ingredients in that bread. And by the time they're done with it, nobody wants to eat that.
That's Weber's.
Exactly. The bread is a good analogy because the ingredients of a beautiful society, if based on pure saving, right, pure market, pure Ben Shapiro brain, right? If the ingredients that make a beautiful bread, the bread is the society, the ingredients, what makes it the society that it is, you're going to shave off a bunch of things. You lose all of these things that ultimately we make the good bread, right? You make a cheaper bread. The cheaper bread's okay. How is that the highest value again? Tear down the wall? No, you're a simp. You don't help her. Okay, you guys over there at your little truther circles, you don't help her. Jimma, my sister is non-denominational. She does not want to go to her local Orthodox church. She said the website says it's a pan-Orthodox. Do you know what this means? Also, it is a parish of I've actually never seen that term. So, I can't help you. Can someone in the chat help him?
And the company is bankrupt.
Oh.
So that kind of very narrow left brain thinking, which in philosophical terms I would call it sort of a goodness only, just goodness as power, as efficiency, as immediate return. That is like a virus that comes into an organization. It could be a hospital system, a university, a company, and it's hard for the quality people to find.
Okay, yeah, so that's a no-no, right?
The language to speak.
Or multiple dioceses? Yeah, someone else can answer that. I'll just give you the wrong answer to that.
In defense of life and beauty, it seems so weak.
Oh,
and
okay.
those guys seem, the numbers people seem so.
Okay, so, all right. Oh, so it's like it's a multi. So then whose cultural aesthetic conducts, it's interesting.
They're serious.
Yeah, of course.
And
okay, thank you.
And when everything is ruined,
there you go.
Then they move on.
Many of those who are watching you right now in this video are
okay. I never heard of that before.
Who are approaching Orthodox Christianity.
I don't know if I have one of those.
Traditional kind of Christian way of life, really for the first time seriously in their life. And before I let you go, I would really appreciate it if you would speak to them. What would you want to say to those who are watching us right now and are considering for the first time becoming church people?
What I didn't emphasize enough yesterday is in this beauty, goodness, truth sequence where we're, the little motto I gave when you're discipling is show them. In other words, that's the beauty. Train them, teach them how to do it well, tell them secrets. And I think what you don't know, what you can't really know until you come into the church is that the secret that you will learn at the end of this, you're inspired and you go through the catechism, and now the secret that you learn is a new you. And it is not just that you know mysteries, but your mind will be equipped to see the world in a different way that you just couldn't absent the grace, the uncreated grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus.
And you can't unsee it. There's no unseeing. You could like fall away, right? But you can't forget. You know what I'm saying? Like we all fall away. We all get tired. You know, most of us during even Lent probably, it comes up and the demons come up and you're tired and you're anxious and you're done with it. You know, there's definitely a moment, whether you admitted it to your friends and family or not, where you're just like, I can't, if this is it, I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. Is this what I got to do? But you can't unsee the reason you're there to begin with. You can't unsee it. There's no unseeing it. Can't. You know, there's no eternal sunshine of the spotless mind you can go through.
Jesus Christ. You know, it's not just a lecture. You know,
yes.
Liturgy is a complete wedding. It's a total. You know, it's in our culture. You know, there's, you know, they just never.
So I am kind of like in a bit, in some way, nervous to sort of dive in to iconography itself. You know what I mean? Like I felt this a while back where I was first introduced to orthodoxy, and I had so much hesitation, and it wasn't because of theology. It wasn't because of iconography or veneration or, you know, kissing a priest's hand for the blessed bread or anything like that. It was like, I remember it was like, am I going to lose my edge? Am I going to lose my my quick-wittedness and like my aggressiveness and all that? Like it was like, I don't want to change, but I want to change. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm here to change. I'm here to like, you know, fundamentally change my existence, how I see the world, how I operate. But can I go back? Is there like a reversal button in case, you know, in case I get a little overwhelmed or something? Is there? Can I do the go back to the first board? Save at the first board? Nope. No, you can't. You can't.
Never get past the engagement stage.
You know, yeah, people can definitely relate to that. It's like, yeah, but can I just... I'm going to get on the ship, but can you guys stay close to shore so I can at least swim back? You guys can keep going, but can we... Do you guys give floaty devices away if I want to jump off and go back to the broken worldly land? No.
Uh-huh. We've been told that there is no uncreated grace, so you can't really marry God. You can stare at him, you can believe in him,
think about him, right.
But you can never really have the wedding. And I mean, come on, that's.
Or some of you with families might think, well, if you get a little resistance from your wife or just your general family where you're like, how is this possible in your head? How is this going to happen?
Nathaniel LHL, considering Marilyn's uncle introduced her to orthodoxy and her grandpa was a sicko, it wouldn't surprise me if some of her family was destined to receive a millstone from Jesus.
Millstone,
God bless you and your family, Jim
God
Bob.
bless you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's wild. Her grandpa was Larry Flint. That's a... I mean, she's not condemned for that, but it's just an interesting fact. You know what I mean? It's like, what? What? Really? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Some of us are at different phases. Like in some people are just inquiring and they might be thinking, well, wow, just based on what it entails and what's involved, sometimes you can't conceptualize it. I couldn't. Like, I was like, my first impression was, oh, this is probably going to be something I'm going to mostly be doing. You know, this is a Jim Bob thing. And, you know, it wasn't that I saw the rest of my family or my wife as people incapable of it or anything. It was just I made a cynical judgment about maybe they just wouldn't like it. Like, so I have to be ready to just do it myself. And some people actually do that. Obviously, that's not recommended. But I could never have imagined we'd be at a place where we started by pre-baptism, sort of watching and experiencing it and taking it all in, and sort of escaping before coffee hour or right after or during communion and stuff, like not having a full understanding of of actually what's happening. And now we close out every single coffee hour, we're the last to leave because we're so connected to the other parishioners there. But also, like, we have pictures of my daughter being the myrrh-bearing girls. I would have not. There was a time not too long ago where I was like, no. Like it's a miracle to me if we can go, if I can get them to look. There was a time where it was a miracle to me that my entire family could actually participate through an entire liturgy. Like it just didn't register in my head that that would be something that would be normal. Like it would be like, I thought, oh, a rare occasion we did it, right? Oh, that was awesome. But no, that's like, that becomes the new normal. That's the normal. So something changes. All of your concerns, they don't go away. They come back up. Like I mentioned, Lent is a really great time to notice all of those old things that come up, and you're like, no, this isn't, I can't, wait, this is going to be it. I have to do this. I have to do this. We have wine hour. That's funny. Very accurate and relatable explanation of the apprehensions felt. Yeah, we all mostly feel those.
That wasn't God's intention here with the incarnation.
Come to the Lord, join him, receive him, be wedded to him, let him be your husband. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, dear brother, for coming all across the country to be with us.
It's an honor.
Really appreciate it.
So happy to be here.
God be with you.
I know we're done. Can I say one other thing?
Of course, anything you want.
I think anyone studying, Byzantine art, and I think this church is going to become a must way station, because I've never been in a place, this chapel, the main church, and thought, yes, this is what it looked like new. The Byzantine style churches that we build today, somehow they don't get it. They don't quite have what you were able to achieve here. And I don't know, I'm sure it's a miracle in a way about how that came together, but I think anyone studying Byzantine art and architecture will have to come and experience this church. So I think it's a landmark for art history in a way.
Yeah, that's kind of how I approached this whole thing with organizing this iconography class. Because, the church does outreach, and, there's all sorts of events that parishes do, and they come in all forms, and they're philanthropic, and they're educational, and there's a rest. But the aesthetic part, I think, is one of the most accessible. It takes work, of course, but like, as far as people accessing orthodoxy, I think aesthetic beauty is going to be the thing. So the other heterodox churches have adverts, and they have Starbucks, and they have deals, or they'll have this or that, and they'll have a trampoline event. They'll have a slide baptism. They'll have a baptism at a water park, right? They have all these things, right? But they don't have the beauty. And in a time where people are overcorrecting and moving away from modernity and materialism, what is the thing that's going to shine to them in the rejection of materialism and boxiness and ugliness and grayness and sludge? What it's going to be? It's not going to be a link to the ecumenical councils. That's not what it's going to be. That's additional stuff that you get to know and get into, but that's not going to be the thing. People are going to be, and they already are, people are seeking beauty. They want and seek a pure standard for beauty and form. They want a civilization they would fight a war for. Think about that. It's not just like a reaction to just any wars. Oh, war, war bad. I think there's a frustration that we're fighting wars on behalf of these other people.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
And for what? For classical liberalism? I'm sorry, that's not enough to die for. Men Men, this is why men, Father Josiah Trenum did another video on why men in particular are also gravitating toward orthodoxy, because they go into orthodoxy and suddenly, oh no, they can't take the Eucharist. The men are going, wait, there's something to be taken from me. I have to give. I have to sacrifice. What? This has been missing in my culture this whole time. And so the same, that's a microcosm that we desire sacrifice in all sorts of forms. And living in a country and a nation whose identity is merely materialism and exchange of goods, there's no real identity. It's liberty. Liberty is the identity. And we're realizing after many years that people telling every generation to die for liberty, we're realizing we've been catfished. That as it turns out, liberty isn't enough on its own to die for. It's not enough. That's just a starting point. That's it. A culture that's beautiful, with beautiful themes and architecture and rigidity in so far as how we behave and conduct ourselves, some standard, you're getting closer to getting suited up and holding a gun to defend it. But like trying to get men to defend, some idea right now, no way. No way. Not even close. Not worth it. Hey, you want us to fight in wars? We're gonna have to create a society worth defending. And right now, defending Amazon Prime, and a couple of extra credit card lines, or the idea that your future wife could be taken away from her children because she just got an executive producer job at Nike or whatever the hell. It's like, that's not working, guys. That ain't working. Another lecture by him is Divine Energy. Nice. Father Joseph Copeland. Thank you for that. Speaking of a nation worth defending, 6 left on this last goal here. I think I might make this my last goal. Things are slowing down a bit. However, if we don't meet the goal, I have to end on a finished goal, guys. So, you're going to get an earful. Anyway, great talk. If you want to hear more about beauty in regards to through the Orthodox lens, Dr. Timothy Patistas. He was forwarded to me through a fellow parishioner at my church. So that's good. Good stuff. That kind of relieves me, honestly. When I see all this stuff and I argue against all these crazy people and I get all pent up and I start calling them names and then I want to, hunt them. Something like that talk kind of reins me in. That reins me in. Patitsas. Thank you. So what? Patitsas. Thank you. Patitsas. You see, Israel is being overtaken by bees. I saw that. Why do I giggle? I just do. Certain things make me giggle. It's just a nervous giggle. So am I just nervous? Not one goal met. Yeah. We're going to change that around here. 2 minutes? 5? Is that even possible? Alex Jones reins me in. Didn't he have a little mini mustache, mustache on recently? Take my Jort coin. Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, good stuff over there. I got to remember to put that into my circulation, into my cues. Because I'm always looking at stuff that I despise. It's not good for you. Speaking of beauty, Jonathan Peugeot is on with Jay. So instead of sniping him, 3 more in 1 minute. Let's finish my goal strong, y'all, so I can transfer you and continue the beauty conversation with Jonathan Peugeot and myths and symbols. That should be really interesting over there. So give me a good reason, huh? Give me a reason to continue. 50 seconds, 3 to go, y'all. I will set that up, actually. And then call it an early day and move over to set you guys up for a transfer over there. Got 5 right there. 2 more, 20 seconds. Another 5. Thank you so much. 2 more, 15 seconds. Duty, 8 seconds. Oh! Paid of filia. Shout out to Hello Listener for the training. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jason, coming in. Clutch, always. Another from Austin. Thank you, Unhit Bone. Thank you so much, guys. Really, thank you so much. It means so much to me. Look, we did 11. It's not even logically possible. 11 out of 10. We broke logic. The goals feature, it's a good feature. That's why it's like, I'm just so mad that YouTube is run by who it's run by, and it's their ethical standards and their paradigm, but they just give us such a rich technology. So annoying. So annoying. Anyway, let's move you over. That'll be an interesting watch indeed. Let's see, go over to Jay and listen to Jonathan Peugeot and see how many times he says manifestation. Could do manifestation bingo. You know what I mean? Another big 20 from Joey. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that. Thank you. And if you're watching this after the fact and you're like, oh, I missed the Jim Bob and I never get to really enjoy the chat live, consider supporting as well. You know, you are getting the channel yourself. So if you're not a member, you can become a member. If you want to just drop a donation, you could use bobchats.com. You could even say something, and Vagine will whisper it to me. Do Indians even whisper? I don't think I've ever even conceived of that. Sar. I can help you, sir. All right. I have a very hard time accepting that. In fact, I pay almost $1 every night. Yeah, I know. It's like I know. Well, that's why I gave you the opportunity to do Bob Chats, because it just goes. No, YouTube gets none of it. So, but it's still, YouTube still has the best tech and everything all around. So, it's one of those. It's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow. All right. God bless you all. Have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Prayers for Marilyn. I really do want to keep the campaign anti-Marilyn. If you want orthodoxy, go to church, Marilyn. You don't get it from the YouTubes, okay? Don't enable people who are they want all of the joy and the camaraderie, and they want the all of the fruits of these various online places, but They're like, no, I'm not going. Well, no. I'm done with that, Marilyn. I'm done. It's over between us. It's over.
Jimmy crack corn and I don't really care no more. What he gotta say, it's irrelevant. Once upon a time, could have been a partner of mine. Now he's getting checks from the government. I don't care where your idol stands, protecting his hands from culture jams with the oven mitt. It's another soldier got caught, all ain't what you thought. Nothing here is done for the fun of it. I don't care what you say, I'm on some new shit. I don't care if you're digging what I'm doing. I don't care what you think about my music. I don't care, you're not the reason I do this. Always up, always going. I don't care if I die without you knowing. Tried to catch your eye for a stint until I realized what that meant. Jimmy crack corn and I don't really care no more. What he gotta say, it's irrelevant. Once upon a time, could have been a partner of mine. Now he's getting checks from the government. I don't care where your idol stands, protecting his hands from culture jams with the oven mitt. That's another soldier got caught, all ain't what you thought. Nothing here is done for the fun of it. I don't care what you say, I'm on some new shit. I don't care if you're digging what I'm doing. I don't care what you think about my music. I don't care, you're not the reason I do this. Always going. I don't care if I die without you knowing. Tried to catch your eye for a stint until I realized what that